Saturday, October 28th, 9:42 p.m. on Dime Square, New York City. This is Alphabet's Whiteboard edition. Brainstorming, coming up with ideas specifically tailored towards SGPs. This is not structured. This is just streaming our thoughts. And we definitely want for people to jump in and get involved, pitch some of your ideas. And if you pitch good ideas, then we'll loop you in on the profits.
Yeah, Brett. So if you remember back, if you watched the live stream with the Bears Commanders in the Discord, and Judah posted an article, I believe, on a Substack about keying on the delicious alt angle of Justin Fields and the Bears covering, and Brett capitalized, Judah capitalized. I missed that. I was putting my daughter to bed, unfortunately, but that kind of set us up for this kind of great SGP run. We had 3 hits. I had 3 hits last week out of 4 that I was really pushing hard for. 2 in the article and 1 in the Discord. But more importantly is just navigating these degenerate type ideas on their face and actually seeing that there's a lot of value to be had with the right edge in a game, the right kind of alt scenario script, and the right kind of story, as Judah likes to call it. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of do these just because last week when me and Brett did this privately, one of the alt angles that we talked about last minute was the Patriots. And what would happen if the Patriots, played well, won the game? What might that look like? And we, landed on a Mac Jones type, extended game with some great opportunities. And part of the opportunity of doing this hive mind approach is sometimes when you're building out your SGP, you might get in the weeds as far as like adding a leg that's going to add a lot of risk. Is it really worth it? Or, hey, let's roll the dice because that risk is worth it. It's way underpriced when you add that leg. And so that's kind of where the hive mind approach we want to bring to SGPs comes from, is just to have, hey, check us, we'll check you. Let's see how we can actually build a core foundation around an SGP and then leg in or leg out ways that increase our value or decrease our risk or both. So that's the idea. That's the approach. And I'll shut up from there.
Yeah, and I think we're going to try and add a little bit more science to it as we continue to go along over the course of the season, continue to build our own tools to do this that we'll certainly be sharing with the rest of you. But so enough jibber jabber, let's just start building. But before we actually do, I did want to ask you, Zach, so the Circa Millions, top 5, all the consensus picks just got released. For those who may know, we run a model, one of the most sophisticated models that I've built, uses different machine learning algorithms, kind of combines them together to get the best of the best. I use the OpenAI API to come up with some interesting ways to kind of download different data from podcasts and articles and some other kind of paid-in pools to get a general kind of quantify sentiment around how people are talking about games, to then further refine kind of predictions around where we think people are going to line up in the broader pool. And it's done very well so far on a season-to-date basis. So I've trained this on the last 12 years of contest data, so including Super Contest. And the average error over the course of the whole season is about 4.5%. So that's pretty targeted. And I would say that that's lined up pretty much with the realized estimates this year. I'm going to put something together so far to show how all the estimates have looked compared to the model predictions or compared to the realized results later this week. But this week was like totally nuts. Totally nuts.
Did it hit all 5?
No, totally nuts in a bad way.
Oh,
Well, not like
Outlier.
in a. I'm just saying the top 5 are like totally wild.
Oh, I see.
So,
No.
so
People getting desperate, rolling the dice a little more.
could be. So first of all, did you see what I posted in the Discord about what the top 5 picks were going to be?
No, I have not seen anything actually.
Okay. So just tell me what you think, just generally, what you think the top 5 picks would be.
Okay, I'm looking at the game's current lines right now.
Give me your top 6. We'll do top 6.
Okay. Because I like them so much and like Sharp Clark likes them so much, I'm going to assume the Vikings are just going to be like a sexy market pick in general.
Okay. Ding, ding, ding. You got one. One for one.
Seahawks, probably another.
No.
No? Okay. Maybe I like them too much. Based on the number, I mean...
So first of all, okay, I'm just going to do Seahawks just real fast. So again, just to show how, again, the model is pretty sharp. So the realized number for Seahawks is 935. 935 people picked the Seahawks. We did 988. So pretty close.
Oh, wow. It's pretty close, yeah.
And so that's what's cool about the model too. We're not just trying to pick the top 5. We're literally picking how many exactly for every single team.
That's pretty impressive.
So it's not just generic top 5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's
okay. So you're 1 for 2. You're 1 for 2. Go
on. Based on how the line moved, I'm gonna say the Texans.
Okay, ding, ding, ding. 2.
Okay.
2 for 3.
Now
I'm just gonna give you I'm gonna give you one small hint in the sense of this is where it gets wacky.
Okay. I mean, the line also moved in the Saints direction, so I'm gonna say Saints. No. Okay.
So that's your 4. You got 2 more chances.
I mean, if it gets wacky, I'm trying to wonder what's wacky, but now I'm overthinking it. Maybe the Niners? Does it win in their favor?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, so you're 2 for 5. Your last one to try your 6th.
I think people assume Bagnet's terrible, Bilbo Bagnett. So maybe Chargers. People buying the high price. No. So 2 for 6. And basically, your 2 out of 6 is the same 2 out of 6 that the model did get right, which was Vikings and Texans. Okay.
So for Texans, the model predicted 1,083, and there was 1,176. So about, again, only like 90 off.
Yeah, pretty good.
So the model's top 5, or I'll say top 6, was Eagles, Ravens, Vikings, Saints, Lions. Really like the Lions, and then Texans. So the actual top 5 is the number 1's the Vikings. Number 2 was the Texans. Number 3 was the Broncos.
Oh, well, if you can. That's a swallow.
Number 4 was the Titans.
Yes and no.
And then number 5 was the Jets.
I almost said the Jets a couple times. I can see why. I think, again, there's this big assumption that Tyrod Taylor sucks, and he hasn't. He was actually, I did a little deeper dive this week. Tyrod Taylor was throwing 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions his 3 years average starting for the Bills back 5-6 years ago. And remember, he got the lung jab when he was supposed to start over the premier Justin Herbert in his rookie season. He might have been starting through the season through 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks if that never happens. And Justin Herbert was good out the gate, so the coaches knew he was good. So, and when he was with the Browns, I mean, I think they yanked him because the Browns team was generally terrible. They were like 0-4. Like, it wasn't his fault. It's just because one of the worst teams in the NFL, and put Baker in their number 1 pick. So I don't know. Tyrod to me is like a better version of Geno Smith. I think like they're 1 year apart, and based on the last 2 weeks, he's actually throwing to the weapons that he has, and I think the Giants' offense has improved a little bit as far as just technique and what they're trying to do. So I don't know, man. I'm happy to look at some angles to fade the Jets this week if everyone's jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's a home game for both teams. Like, there's no edge either way.
Yeah.
In essence.
There's actually more Bengals than Niners. So by about 100 more Bengals.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was guessing in the last ones. I had no conviction in any of that, but yeah.
And the Lions are actually quite popular. So I mean, I think it's probably about the 8th most popular.
Yeah.
Eagles. So that was the model's favorite pick. That they thought the model thought that Eagles was going to be the number 1 pick.
Oh, okay.
But it's very scattered, which you'd kind of expect in this kind of week, which is like no super great picks. Okay, interesting stuff. I was going to share just basically what it looks like. Bears, Chargers, very low picked. Ravens, Cardinals, very low picked, which is good. What were our picks?
I think we got Saints.
Like that. So that's not popular.
Here, let me pull it up real quick. Let me see. 1 second. We got Saints, Jags -2.5. I don't have a problem with that.
More Steelers. There's more Steelers.
Yeah, then I definitely like it. I actually may lean into some bets, even though it's late. The lines come down to 2, so Texans
it's
minus
split, though. It's 962 to 986.
Texans -3. I get it. I feel like it's kind of like you got to take the Texans, which isn't a great spot, but until the Panthers get over the hump, the assumption is they're not going to get over the hump. So makes sense.
Well, and one of the things that I think we'll get into when we're kind of starting to build is essentially just that. I mean, the Panthers defense is like super banged up.
Yep.
According to SICK, has one of the worst scores for defense at a 60.3.
Yep.
And we know that the Houston offense can be potentially sneaky. So
Yep. Which is why I like some alt game overs both ways. Maybe that'll be in the article tomorrow. Wink, wink.
All right, so we got Jags, Saints, Texans,
Rams. Plus
Rams?
6.5.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Okay. And then what else?
And then Ravens -9.5.
Oh yeah, I like Ravens. I really like Ravens.
You don't believe in Bagnet Bilbo Baggins? Bagnet Baggins?
You didn't have Bears in your like top whatever.
No, I couldn't back. I mean, I rewatched that Vikings game right before Monday Night Football. He had 2 terrible turnovers, holding the ball a little too long. He reminds me a little bit of like a Sam Howell type. He's better than you think he is as far as like when he has time to throw the ball down the field, like better than probably Justin Fields, just generally speaking, which isn't necessarily
his
a high
balls
bar.
just come out with like so slow when I see them.
Yeah,
it's just like
that's what I'm saying.
It's just like hanging in the air. And
a team like Baltimore, I mean, if Baltimore is playing their game, it could get real ugly real fast, just like last week. Which I'm mad I didn't beat the drums on that Baltimore game over the Lions because.
Oh wait, what are you talking about? I thought you're talking about the Bears quarterback.
Sorry, what was it? Yeah.
Sorry, they're playing the Chargers.
Shit. Wrong team.
Jesus.
Ravens, Cardinals. I mean, yeah, very similar. I think Cardinals offense come down to earth a little bit after Connor got injured. defense not very good. And again, I have futures on the Ravens to win the AFC and win the Super Bowl. So I've been more bullish on the Ravens than almost anyone I've seen on tout Twitter. And it's because of this potential upside. And I'll give a quick comp. Is the Ravens, very loosely in a totally different type team way, remind me of the Bucs when they won the Super Bowl. That year, the assumption was they need another year to get the new offense and Tom Brady up to speed and all that shit. And I said, well, I thought they might actually figure it out during the season enough to win an easy NFC, fairly speaking, like only one real tough game versus the Packers, and then get to a Super Bowl, and then it's fucking anyone's game, especially with an injured Patrick Mahomes. So I see the Ravens in a very similar spot. The Dolphins have shown chinks in their armor. Chiefs' offense hasn't been as dynamic as it has been in the past. So I think they're as live as any team in the AFC if they're healthy. You know, and again, what I've seen recently, Lamar do, which is impressive, is he's taken a page out of Patrick Mahomes' book, which is he's not looking to use his legs to just take off and run at the first opportunity. He's just extending the play to find the open receiver, his best weapons he's ever had, down the field. And that could be very successful throughout the season and into the playoffs. So, and with great coaching, great organization, like, you know, they made the playoffs last year, didn't they? And they like were terrible. I mean, they had injuries and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, just seems weird that everyone was fading the Ravens so much. When I was like, well, I don't know.
Well, the expectation was that their defense was going to be really bad, and surprisingly, I mean, overall, we got Ravens from an EDP perspective as top 5 team. Certainly led by more so the offense, but even still, the defense is top 2 in EDP. I mean, so right there with the Browns.
And they've had some easy quarterbacks and stuff, but again, they're well coached, man. You see it with the Texans. I don't think the Texans have the talent to be 3-3 collectively on the whole team. CJ Stroud's performed very well, but the scheming, the coaching, like what they're doing is setting their team up for success. So they're having more success. So I think Ravens are obviously a very similar type team. They're just so well coached every year that a little bit of health, a little more improvement from Lamar, sticking in the pocket, extending plays, and finding good weapons down the field that are healthy finally. Like, it's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough team.
I don't know. They haven't impressed me, like, greatly.
Well, like I said, I think like the Bucs, they're finding their footing offensively, and it may take until and obviously they found it versus the Lions, but to really solidify it, same like with the Bucs. After that bye week, they were scoring 35 points a game the rest of the season. Like,
yeah. I mean, we do got, from a DriveCast perspective, like look at the drive quality, kind of look at the adjusted scores. Definitely has the Ravens as fire truck like blasting down the street. Ravens undefeated, so I guess there's that.
We don't know if they're that good, but EDP says they should be undefeated.
12th in offense, 2 in defense. So,
well, let's put it this way. All right, fully healthy, right? If you could pick any team in a neutral game, besides obviously KC, like full health both directions.
Yeah.
Who's the best team in the AFC besides KC?
Miami.
Right now.
Miami.
You really think so? With that defense?
Yes.
I don't know, man.
You said healthy. So that means like with Jalen Ramsey, with Xavier Howard.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess we haven't seen Jalen Ramsey yet. Like, I was actually going to say, part of an SGP angle I like this week is Kendrick Bourne. And the assumption is like his numbers are low because Jalen Ramsey's going to play. But I don't know on the top of my head, but when's the last time Jalen Ramsey was good? Like the best corner in the NFL? Like 3-4 years ago?
2 years ago.
Is he living on reputation at this point? Like, we don't, like, how healthy is he? Like,
yeah, I mean, the quarterbacks drop off fast, but I mean, is he going to be worse than what they've had? Is he a downgrade? I don't know if it like. So let's see. I mean, so when you're saying Bourne's numbers are depressed, I mean,
well, no, just his upside. So All right, so I posted on the Discord as of yesterday. I mean, Bourne was over 103. I'm pulling it up. Over like 103 yards at plus 2,700.
Oh no, okay. I would say they're somewhat depressed because last week Bourne was basically like 60 yards was his kind of plus 110. So he's about 10 yards down from where he was last week versus the Bills.
Let me pull up what I posted. Yeah, all right. So 105 yards plus 2,600. But he had so just to give you some reference points, he had 9 targets last time he played Miami, and his snap share was like I think 50-60%. The last 2 games it's been 95%. So they're keying on Bourne. Like they know he's like their best weapon right now, and maybe even Douglas, I think it is. So his last 2 weeks he had 63 yards and 89 yards. Okay, and again, very similar like idea from why I liked Addison for Monday Night Football is kind of like with Jefferson's injury is like there was only one option down the field for the Vikings, period, and that was Addison, right? So basically why you go for overs is like, oh, he's going to get a big play and that'll jack up his numbers. He just needs one big catch, which he got, right? So with Bourne, if he's getting the volume, which it seems like, he's been getting pretty good volume. He's like their best weapon now, throwing the ball to. Mac Jones had a good week last week, right? So maybe they found something. They know they're going to have to score points against Miami, and they may be forced to score points against Miami, right? So if Miami plays well on offense, obviously, you're in comeback mode, so you have an out in that direction. And so if this receiver, number one option, playing 95%, he's going to get, which is new. This didn't start the season at 95%, just like Jordan Addison, right? This is new information that I don't think is properly priced in. So, I mean, from an upside perspective, obviously, like maybe he'll get 60 yards or 80 yards or 90 yards, like who fucking knows? But at plus 2,700, almost 27 to 1 odds, that like
what's the build?
So this is just the first leg, which is Bourne plus 2,700 to go over his max yards, which to me is underpriced at 105 yards. So from there, we could add maybe Mac Jones over, which is an obvious one, and maybe you just do his base level, maybe a over total with a
110 yards,
105 on Bet Online is what it was last time.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what it is on FanDuel, but if again, we know Miami's probably going to score points, however they're going to get them, whether it's through the rush or through the pass. Patriots are going to have to score some points if they're going to be in the game, or just comeback mode. Just
what about?
Off. So
yeah,
I'm just saying he's become their number one weapon the last 2 weeks. So that just like Jordan Addison effect, it's a new trend that you can't price in because you don't know when it's going to explode through the roof. Just like Breece Hall, right? Similar a thing. He had a 50% snap share with Dalvin Cook week 1. Week 2 is like 33%. Week 3, now he's Breece Hall's going up to like 7. I forget what it is, but 70-80%. Then the coaches said before the Denver game, we're unleashing Breece Hall. No fucking snap count. Okay.
Yes.
So the upside's just not priced in for what we're trying to predict, and I just get that vibe with Bourne, but I don't buy it. But it's just like it's way overpriced. Is my point.
So Demario Douglas, opened the season. Too. Yeah, so he had 7 targets week 1, then basically didn't get much, but they did start to show up last week again with six targets. And he's a rookie, so like you'd feel like, I mean, at some point in time in this season that like he's, especially as the season potentially goes relatively south in the sense that the Patriots are probably not going to be competitive this year, that they're going to want to start seeing more young guys.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, someone like Demario Douglas, like, well, let's see.
Well, he did have, a perk.
See, his are super juicy.
Yeah.
I mean, 60 yards plus 410.
So he did have 62% snap share last week versus Buffalo. So he was averaging he had 41% week 1, and then it was hovering between 8 and 33% range from week 2 to 5. Obviously, that's probably correlated to Juju's, presence and all that. What I read briefly is he's splitting snaps. Basically, like it's either Juju or him as kind of like the slot go-to, more or less. And last week he played 62%, so that's why he got 6 targets. But I mean, again, in the slot, right? Playing comeback mode versus Miami, having to score points like dump offs and quick slants just to get the ball out and keep moving the ball down the field type stuff. I mean, I don't mind him. I was looking to do him too. I just, I've just been angling towards these like maxes that if he's gonna like, if Bourne's gonna hit 90 yards, 105 for plus 2,700, like it's maybe it's worth it, right? So, but yeah, I like that angle too. I just don't know how much Bourne is really gonna play, if there's a split share or not, or like I just don't know. Maybe we can figure that out on the stream.
I mean, again, I just feel like you have to err. Maybe it's still a little bit too early in the season, but you can err on the side of like that the younger guy, the guy who needs time, who for you to properly evaluate him, is gonna have to like get more time on the field versus somebody like Juju Smith-Schuster. Like he's not in their long-term plans. They know who he is. Like, and same thing with Kendrick Bourne. So also it's interesting that the Patriots are now down to 8.5, a little bit reduced juice, but so down a point. And that's what was happening last week, with the Patriots versus the Bills.
Yep.
And that's why, my Mac Jones build almost came. I mean, the Mac Jones part did come to fruition.
Well, dude, that's what and so did Bourne's base level. So if you would have done your Mac Jones max over plus Bourne, you're probably getting plus 1,800 right there. And I think if we were a little smarter with just like leaning into a Patriots cover even, let alone a Patriots.
Yeah, that is definitely where I went wrong in that one. Yep. Was because he had the Mac Jones 250, had the Mac Jones 2 touchdowns, Kendrick Bourne, and then to get the real juice had the Bills -5. But having the Patriots to win outright, -3.5 or something would have been sick.
So that's where I got challenged on my Addison Hawkinson build. I tried to do something very similar, like, they'll be in comeback mode, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe 49ers actually still like win. And, I got challenged on that. And in hindsight, like, as we were talking about, I was like, yeah, that actually makes sense. Like we're trying to see this from a lot of different angles. The whole point of having a hive mind is to go, wait a second, guys, are you sure that's not just like adding immense risk to what you already have an edge on as a potential game scenario? Like, why you're already running hot, why risk it with another leg that's like an antithesis of the stack, right? So it might work on occasion, but like we have to be very like aware and make sure we're hitting the right core variation first. The most likely scenario of that scenario versus
and that's why if you could get a Philly from week 1 type game script, like where the Patriots are kind of losing the game but they're like always relatively within striking distance, I mean that's when Mac Jones threw the ball 54 times, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and they're having success. And that made my bull meter go up a little bit on this offense's potential because of what I saw that week 1 from Bill O'Brien and company. So I mean, so to your point, it's in their DNA. We saw it week 1 against Philly. We saw it last week versus Buffalo. So this is the type of team that you want to like pick your spots because you're not proving something that hasn't happened. He threw for 350 yards last week. It's like you're just keying on when is it going to happen again now, which can be easier than first time, events.
Yeah. And you could say again, like Jets, Cowboys, Saints. All right. Those are like 3 good defenses. I mean, like, what? I mean, the Jets is a top 5 according to our metrics. Saints is a top 5. according to EDP, and Cowboys is 7. So
yeah, and Saints are very good, very strong man team. So with their
and we got the Dolphins
receivers,
second to last.
Yeah. Like I said, Dolphins, and again, I'm not sold that Jalen Ramsey is going to be like, again, is he going to play full on? Is it going to be like part time? Are they going to hide him a little bit because he needs to get his like speed back? Like, there's so many variables to like, oh, he's back. Like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Because he got injured during the preseason, like before the preseason, right? Like, he was or during the preseason. Like, he's been out. Like, he didn't really like. He wasn't at training camp or something. Like, it wasn't. He's been out a while. What is this one?
Mac Jones 3 touchdowns plus 750.
Oh, interesting. Oh, 3 passing. Mac Jones. Why does it say plus 1,800? Oh, yeah.
Well, that's passing. Plus 300. That's 300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I have not found success or feel confident trying to predict touchdowns. I had a great stack with Derek Carr going over 350 yards versus Houston Texans on a comeback mode, and it hit. But the one leg that threw it out was I did his 2 passing touchdowns, and that was the game that they only got 1 touchdown. So like, he can throw for 380 yards, but like, can he finish in the red zone? Probably not. You know, obviously there's some variance to like look at as far as like red zone efficiency and stuff, but basically adding touchdowns in your SGB to me feels like risk on versus like a correlation that creates a kind of risk off event by comparison. So it just kind of depends like how risk on do you want to be with that next leg, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mac Jones 300 yards, Demario Douglas 80 yards, 2,600.
That's pretty good. Wow, 300 and only 80. That's interesting. That feels like actually that's probably a safer angle, and this is why I'm glad we brought this up. Right, the top 105 for Douglas to hit, right, is like a pretty big roll of the dice. But can he get 80 yards if Mac throws 300 as his number 1 option? That's like such a strong correlation as his top target right now, playing 95% share, getting 6 to 9 fucking targets. So at plus 2,600, I mean, what would you price this just based on the correlation value? What would you price that at? I mean, just those 2 events.
Yeah.
300 yards.
I mean,
so 300 is what? It's plus 550. Okay, how correlated is that if he hits that to Demario Douglas plus 880? Yeah.
Well, 50% profit
and
boost.
You can do 50% profit boost if you're really confident. Interceptions are easier to add if you have a New England parlay added to an interception. Interesting. I think you could do that to leverage and juice the bet. But again, then you're adding a leg of like that. There's no correlation there, so it just kind of becomes how much risk do you want to take on a bet that's already, you know, immensely risky. So the more uncorrelated legs you add in, it's just like a normal parlay where you're just fucking, you know, it's got a lot of things that have to happen for you to hit. Mm-hmm. But this,
I wish they had Juju. Oh. I wish they had Juju something because I would do under Juju.
But again,
dude, that's something I think would be correlated in the sense of like if Demario Douglas, like even though you have Jones 300 yards, Douglas 80, it's like, oh, if they're featuring Douglas more, who are they not featuring then? So who's he stealing time from? And you said it was most likely Juju, but they don't have anyone on here. They don't have Juju on here. Anyway, I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna keep it like relatively simple.
Yeah, and I realize I get fairly quickly if I'm betting too much. I get nuked on my offshore account as far as they cut me off. So for me, what I try to do is do my core first with my max core bet before I add legs to leverage up, so that I make sure I get the core bet in. Because I learned the hard way, like week 2, I like leveraged up too hard on the riskier side of the leverage bet, and then they nuked it and I couldn't. Oh, it was when Octane, it was versus the Broncos. Octane and Mostert went off. I was all over it trying to leverage up, but then when I tried to shrink my bet and get the core, I was cut out. I was cut off. I couldn't bet anymore. So Just a word to the wise: get that core bet in first, and then try to leverage up from there so you don't get fucked. Because that was a good week.
So first build,
leverage.
I got Jones 300, Douglas 80 plus 2600.
I think that's a great value, man. I don't know. Because like what? All right, realistically. So if Jones, if they're right, which I don't think they are, at plus 300 yards for Mac Jones, what would you price that leg at? Plus 400 maybe? They have it like 561, 4-1 versus Miami, based on what you think the game script's probably going to go. Going to need to throw the ball to score points. So 4-1, and then adding that Corley leg. Is it? And it's Bourne, right? Is it Kendrick Bourne? Your other leg?
No, it's just Jones and Douglas.
Oh, it's Douglas. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a little more risky. But even so, I mean, I like the angle. I wonder can you do Bourne in that? Sub in Bourne and see what it gives you? Like an alt, maybe like...
It's definitely going to go down. It's definitely going to go down.
We'll just see what it is, like over 90 maybe? Keep it under that. Because 100 for Douglas is probably a steep price, or like a steep...
That's the other thing is, like, I don't think, like, Jones is I mean, again, like, spreading the ball around and...
But again, he's
PointsBet. PointsBet has plus 3,000 for that same bet. I don't have a PointsBet.
I think I've heard some things about PointsBet. If there are sponsors,
I think you get kicked like pretty quickly.
You had a successful bet. Goodbye.
Is PointsBet in New York?
Let's go pay him a visit. Not that I can. I'm in Florida. All right. So, yeah. See. All right. And by the way, we should compare my lines to yours. So, what was your Mac Jones 300 yards? Because
I have it at the bottom of the screen. So it's Jones 300, Douglas 80 plus 2600.
Oh, it's not on the stream. I don't see it. No. Yeah, you have my face and your face. But it's on Offshore Book 305.
No, it should be like on the ticker in the bottom, no?
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I was just asking, like, the leg of Jones over 300 yards. What is that price?
I think it was 550.
Okay,
because
it's 370 on Bet Online 305.
Man, they just really rip you off, man. My God.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, so when I said what plus 400,
that seems like a terrible. I mean, that just like seems like a terrible price.
Well, no, it might be, but what I'm saying is, just from a value perspective, you're obviously already getting value just because you're getting the best of the number from these two examples.
If you can get to squeeze out an extra 25 yards out of Mac Jones, you almost double it to 920.
Woo!
But that's because he hasn't. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I get plus 2,200 if I add DeMario Douglas.
I was gonna try to max out all things Mac Jones, see what happens.
600 yards passing. Plus 10 million.
Dude, see, like this, what Joseph is saying as well. Like, this has happened on this. Like, obviously, they can't be one of the 8 viewers that we have. But
wait, what happened?
It's like when we say a bet, and because again, we have this recorded. This has happened multiple times.
Wait, what just happened though? I missed what happened.
Oh, he's just saying as soon as he sent the text that it's like, oh, you can get this at plus 3,000, then it changed on PointsBet to plus 2,500.
Shit. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, unless again, there could be an AI scraper that's just fucking, I don't know, keying on whispers in the air. I don't know.
AJ Thomas talking about Stafford 300, Cup 100, Rams minus 2.5, 25-1.
Maybe. I mean, if you think the Rams are going to win,
let's try that game. Yeah, I want to finish this one.
Yeah. Let's finish this. Let's go game by game. So yeah, let's finish this game and then try something else.
I still want to do. Again, Douglas is just his prices are so much heavier than Bourne. I mean, Bourne 70 yards plus 240, Douglas 70 yards plus 630.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm gonna do Douglas. I'm just saying this is kind of playing on the fact that I think, and again, like I should have done more research in the sense of like trying to like maybe, but it's just about the fact that why wouldn't they start putting some of the younger guys on the field more? Is all I'm saying.
Because coaches are playing for their careers too, so they're just going to play the guys that are going to get them the most opportunity. Which again, Douglas should. I mean, he's better than Juju at this point.
Yeah. It's just the Jones 325, 3 touchdowns. Douglas 60. Yeah,
3 touchdowns. So much because Patriots are always trying to find an excuse to run the ball.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're playing on the game script of like a Philly type game script, then
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Oh well, there is some bot in here, so.
Oh, we have a bot. What does it say?
Yeah.
Does it say it wants to?
I don't know, it's just offering us some bullshit. But I guess.
Oh, okay. How much are they going to pay?
Oh,
us?
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, let's continue thinking about that. Yeah. But besides just going from game to game and things like that, I do want to focus on, again, those types of games where, like what we've done, what I did last week with Mac Jones, in the sense of like, oh, there's a very underpriced player. Yeah. So for having just any sort of good game, you get like, oh, well, this guy can't have a good game.
Yeah.
Same thing as like what Judah did last week with Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, if you max Tyrod Taylor out, it's at 250.
Yeah. Well, dude, Addison maxed out last week was plus 1,500.
Yeah.
At 102 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh? Or 100 was it 122? Sorry.
So with AJ's bet, like thinking about if we go to Rams Cowboys for a second, and again, we can be fluid. Like I think let's like try to like just go through the games like not quickly, but like we can come back to them. But like let's get our piece out for each one. But so Rams Cowboys, Rams, 6.5. I mean, it's tough because you're trying to say like the Rams. I'm just so worried about the Rams offensive line. Mm-hmm. Stafford not being able to like move well after like being banged up and stuff like that. And this Cowboys defense just like tearing apart. 45.5 is the total. So, I mean, it's not super low. I mean, if it's Rams kind of comeback, I mean, Stafford 300 plus 260, like,
no, that's not worth it. I mean, yeah. And Cowboys are coming off that bye. I mean, if there's not that they need to get right spot, but I mean, generally defenses tend to be rejuvenated off of byes, just from my kind of broader observation. Yeah, I there's nothing I like about the Rams. Like last week, I had a nice, it almost hit too. I had a nice SGP lean with a Pikachu and a George Pickens. I think I just missed the George Pickens side, but Pikachu was he was like plus 1,500 to go over 110 yards or something, and it like crushed that. And Pickens was similar, but he came like 10 yards short, I think.
Yeah. Like I don't like. I like the idea of. All right, I think like there is a general thesis out there that the Cowboys defense is going to tear apart the Rams offensive line and make Stafford's life hell. The thing is I feel like that is kind of right. And it looks like the price is actually not like discounting that much. So I just put that bet together, AJ, on FanDuel, and I got like plus 1450. So pretty much like half what you got at 25-1. So
nuke that price. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like that's one of those games where like almost like that Washington game with Fields, like you just got like do you have an angle where Rams win by 5 and Stafford throws for 300 yards? Like, I don't know. I just don't. It's hard to see versus that Dallas defense.
What about if we do Ravens Cardinals? Which is like, man, I ended up not doing any Jackson parlays last week. But man, we did when we were talking about it. That was one that came to mind.
Oh, dude, we talked. No, I thought you did. I thought you did in a hit in the first half. The 2 passing touchdowns, the 1 rush touchdown.
Yeah, but then I had the Mark Andrews in there for like 100 yards.
You went max. I see.
Yeah,
that was a bit risky. I mean, yeah, this should be a good game to key on. The question is what? That's the hard part.
No, but I'm thinking about Cardinals side.
What?
The Cardinals put together a lot of explosive plays. They're top 10 in our explosive plays.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe Wilson. Well, I'm hearing a lot of Trey McBride now that Zach Ertz is done. They're tight end.
I mean, this is another team that, again, they played some tough defenses.
Hold on a second. Maybe you're
they
right.
played Ram. They played Seahawks, Bengals, Niners, Cowboys. That's some tough defenses.
Let's look at Trey McBride real quick, because I'm getting a lot of signal in the fantasy DGen world where he's like their breakout candidate of the week. Like, literally, someone's like, "Oh, tight end breakout of the week is going to be this guy." So last 2 games, 5 and 6 targets. Pretty good for a tight end. That's TJ Hawkinson territory. 62 yards, 29 yards versus the Rams and Seattle. Now he's back home. So, I mean, we can bake in 3 catches, 3 to 4 catches. So that's 40 yards, right? What's his line? His total is at 44 at plus 122. So, comeback mode, Ravens are probably going to be dominating them. And remember, even you
said 44?
That's plus 122 on
I got
offshore.
31 at minus 113.
Sorry, it's 34 minus 113 for me on BetOnline.
Okay, 34.
Yeah.
Oh, but so this is 3 yards lower.
Interesting, Brett. 84 yards.
Yeah.
2160. 21-1. In a comeback game.
Wait, to do what? To
go over 84 yards. Which obviously would require his 6
targets. Just Trey McBride over 84 yards?
Yes, 2100.
Dude, 90 yards is 1100 on FanDuel.
Oh shit! See, bet on these books, man.
I would definitely hit that then.
Ah, man, people think there's no value in these things. Once every
what's McBride done? Is he? This is like totally speculative, or he's at least done something?
Hold on. Let me explain. So, highest snap percentage the last 2 weeks, 58 and 53%. And fantasies ranked tight end 12 and 20. He's had 5 and 6 targets the last 2 weeks. So Zach Ertz is on IR. So that, part of the assumption is he's going to become a primary weapon. Which, has been trending in that direction the last 2 weeks. So, yards per catch the last 2 weeks, 15 and 9. So, I mean, again, if he's getting six catches at 15 yards a pop, this coming week, for instance, I mean, we're pretty close to 90, right?
Mike's got some for Philly. We'll get there. But that one definitely.
Okay.
That looks interesting. McBride. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely speculative. I mean,
well, but again, it's
he hasn't sniffed any of these.
Well, no, so he's at 64 plus 495. He hit 62 yards 2 weeks ago. I mean, that's not a stretch. And this game script's going to be completely blowout mode.
Sure.
Which, again, we've seen, how many blowouts have we seen this season? I mean, that Logan Thomas game comes to mind where just fucking dump off city. Tight end, like down the field. Ravens king on receivers down the field. letting him dump it off to tight ends and running backs. But so like they were competitive versus Seattle, and I think they were somewhat competitive versus the Rams, if memory serves. This last time, right? The Cardinals.
Versus Seahawks, they were competitive.
Yeah. So we haven't
They
even
turned the ball over a lot.
Yeah. So we haven't even seen McBride in a non-competitive game script, right? Which again is, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, again, this is somewhat of a roll the dice here, but again, I don't love this angle in general. This is completely they'll be behind throwing it type game, which
yeah.
Well, let's see what Dobbs' numbers is in like the game.
Actually, I don't mind this. This is Dobbs 250, McBride 60, Dobbs 2 touchdowns plus 22.
250, 60 yards. Hold on, let me key on this Dobbs.
The 250 is tough. The 250 is tough.
So all right, so he's only thrown over
once.
Yeah, he's done it once, and he's really not even, he's 20, 30 yards short twice. And it's like every other week. So this would be the every other week where he should get between 230 and 270, just based on random back and forth volatility. When he hit it, got close. Rams game, San Francisco game, and Giants game. And yeah, and more explosive plays, it looks like, from his completions are very similar in almost all those games except the San Francisco game. Anywhere basically around 17 to 21 completions. So very, very like we know what we're going to get from Josh is probably between that. But didn't San Francisco crush them, right? I can't remember. I just remember that game.
They did. They basically scored every single drive, and they just drew it out really well. Every drive was like 8 minutes.
So this is good.
But they played decent.
I think that's a good comp. Where like San Francisco is probably like Lamar is going to get his points versus a terrible Arizona defense. So, in that San Francisco game, if that was our comp, that's where he went over 250. He threw the ball 41 times and completed 28 passes. The last 2 weeks, right, when McBride was a bigger target, he only completed 21 and 19 passes. So if we're going to add, let's say, another 7 to 8 targets, maybe another 2 or 3 probably end up going to his like starting main weapon tight end, especially in a game script where dumping it off type shit. So, I mean, if we're getting now 7, 8, 9 targets, and his average depth is 12 yards, if he catches them all, I mean, we're getting pretty close. I think 24 to 1 is definitely value, but it's 21 to 1. It's interesting. It's because all the fantasy touts are like long stroking this guy.
So what about I've heard Dobbs, he really likes Michael Wilson, one game where he only got 2 targets versus the Bengals, he really lamented throwing, in one of the press conferences, he's like, yeah, I can't only target Wilson 2 times a game. The next one he got 4, the next one he got 5. He's had 62 yards, 76 yards, 86 yards. So, I mean, he's definitely can get decent numbers, 56 yards versus the Giants, and his numbers are pretty low. I mean, so 80 yards is 680, 70 is 490, 60, 320. So if I do, this is good. I think 60 yards McBride, 60 Wilson, Dobbs 2 touchdown, Dobbs 225 is plus 5,000. I like that.
The touchdowns, man. And again, the one thing I want to iterate for SGP builds is you have to live with these bets, because these are long shot bets that the worst thing you can do is go, oh, I should have done that thing that I wanted to do. No, do the thing you fucking want to do. First, do the thing you want to do, right? Because, and I learned this in DFS. When I was playing DFS, it just takes a lot of time and energy. When I was doing it, and I was doing it okay, what I learned was, for my own psychology, my best plays were after I did my first 3 lineups. It was my 4th lineup. But if I don't allow myself to go, fuck it, no, I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go with my gut. And then I go, okay, hold on a second. Let me twist this around. Let me look at this another way. And then that fourth lineup was always my biggest performer. Always in those big contests, those big, high leverage events. To say, if you're not playing the thing that you like kind of need to get out of your system a little bit, even just $1 to win fucking $200, like, I think you're going to like psych yourself out when you actually have an edge to be able to play something more meaningfully and actually put a good chunk of change on it because you actually have conviction in that angle. So don't let us deter you from like, if you like something, fucking play it. Just play, risk management, be smart with it. Find variations that maybe cut your risk or give you upside leverage. But don't just because I say, hey, I don't like it, like you can still play it. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, but to say I don't like it, I think the touchdowns is risky. I would risk off the touchdowns. I would do something else because he may run it. How many rushing touchdowns does Dobbs have this year?
Yeah. That's fine. I was trying to look for rushing, yeah. So, but they didn't have it. So basically, if I add this, like it explodes because I got McBride 60 yards, Wilson 60 yards, Dobbs 225 is plus 2,800. And then if I add like a touchdown from somebody outside of those guys, just one touchdown, it like Rondell Moore. Yeah.
It's so random though. I mean, again, and I don't, to get the leverage, and this is the key. As long as you're clear what that leg is doing, I don't think there's a problem doing it, right? As in, like, I'm adding this leg for like inverse correlation leverage. Like I want to boost the juice, so I get,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's basically trying to pick somebody who's like not necessarily who might not necessarily be heavily involved.
All right, but then
I would push like one of those breakaway scores.
But I would push back a little bit. So. All right, so for me, if you're doing a Rondell Moore, what's the number on his touchdown? Like plus what? Plus 300?
380.
I guarantee, I'm just going to say it out loud. I guarantee you can find a better plus 380 in the prop market through other games and just fucking add that. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at is like this next leg of leverage. Because I did this with Mostert, right? My biggest
I mean, well, first of all, this is a terrible number one just because he's got one touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bad number. There are better legs at that price, right? So Trey McBride, 60.
Marquise Brown also still bumps it pretty heavy.
But again, again, if you like it, go for it. I just personally hate the touchdown angle unless it's the player I'm keying on. Like, Brace
but then it doesn't move it. It doesn't move it. I mean, I guess it's not bad. I mean, if I had Michael Wilson.
I think running backs, it's a little easier because they're going to get the volume closer either to the goal line or get an explosive run. Obviously, receivers can get explosive passes too, but it's just tougher.
Yeah.
You'd have to have like
this. I'm going to just do this. McBride 60, Dobbs 225, Wilson 60.
Okay. Seems a little risky, but I mean...
Dobbs is going to get 225. If he's going to get 225, where's it going?
Hold on one sec. Before you do that, because again, some of this is our first SGB show. It's less about, in my opinion, going through the whole slate and all this, rather than like continuing to refine process so we optimize our opportunities. So, all right, if we look at Trey McBride, are we sure you're not getting better value, whether edge or otherwise, on his receptions versus the yards? So I mean, we can probably bake in he's getting 6 targets, if not 8, maybe 9, right? So if he's catching 5, 6 of those, potentially 4 to 6 of those, I don't know what his prop is. I'm gonna look right now. Like, I'm just wondering, does he have a reception prop? Trey McBride, he's 4 at 103. 6 at plus 395. So 60 yards.
So basically, it's either 60 yards or 6 catches. It's the same.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in that scenario, it's probably somewhat of a toss-up. I don't really have a strong angle either way. But that's just to give an example of like check your options. I don't know. Fair. I don't have a strong lean either way, so I think either's fine. But it's kind of like Hawkinson last week. It was like I was like, he's gonna get a ton of targets, but his yards are gonna go over too. So it's like it's not worth putting them together. It adds too much risk. So like, which one do you like better as your leg? Like it didn't fucking matter. But the safer bet was his targets, just from a like how they generally utilize him. Like he doesn't really have a lot of success down the field. So, you know, you might get like 2-yard dump off when he's 3rd and 8 and gets tackled type shit.
Yeah. So you're saying that, but from your intel, you think that McBride's going to be targeted a lot?
Based on what they've been doing the last 2 weeks, based on what I've been hearing in Fantasyland, and based on the game script. Like, again, if Dobbs going to have 8 more targets than he's had, you know, similar to that San Francisco game, I mean, 2 more, 20% go to McBride potentially. Now we're up to that 7-8 target mark. But I mean, his averages are like 9 yards a catch to 15 yards a catch type stuff. So the last 2 weeks, I mean, you're probably going to go over the yards, maybe easier than even the catches.
Yeah. See, again, like I think I like the yards better because, again, this team can be explosive.
Yeah.
So
well, and like that, exactly your point. You're keying on the explosiveness, which can happen either game script. If the Ravens are dominating on defense, he's not going to get 7 catches. Like, it's going to be harder to get 7 catches because they're keying on the players, they're pressing, whatever. It's easier, I think, for like 1 or 2 fluke passes down the field late in the game. Get over the yard. You know, you basically have more outs. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, in that sense, and based on the game.
I mean, what if this is like Josh Dobbs show? Like, all right, this is my last game. I mean, I know it's not like within his control per se.
Actually fun. That's interesting. That is interesting. I didn't even think of it like that. The Kyle Murray, I know he's coming back. This is my last chance to get a job next year as a starter potentially. Which I mean, hey, maybe Dobbs actually does deserve a starting job over a Desmond Ridder. Like, would you put Ridder has played a little better the last couple games, but you know, would you take Josh Dobbs over Desmond Ridder on Atlanta's offense? I think maybe. So you might have a point there. That is an interesting. It's just like I feel like this is one of the worst spots for that, just because it's the Ravens, and they have played well like all season. So you're kind of predicting something that's like brand spanking new that has no.
I'm not saying like that. Yeah.
It's just tough to. It's a tough angle. Like, and again, to give a comparison, the reason I was bullish on Breece Hall breaking out versus Denver, besides the obvious, was because we saw it week 1. We saw him have an 80-yard run. So I'm not even predicting anything new. It's just like, will he have a big breakout run once in this game versus the worst run even? Okay, 50-50. So,
wow.
I just
Marquise Brown actually.
What's he?
Marquise Brown gets like a ridiculous amount of targets. 7, 11, 10, 10, 7, 10.
I like that. I like his targets better than McBride's. So I mean Brown at 5 plus 106. That just sounds so like
funny. He gets all these targets though, but not necessarily a lot of catches.
Yeah, but
every single week he gets a long pass. 21, 22, 25, 41, 23, 22.
Yeah. But man, the targets getting so. I mean, those targets could be, you know, just chuck it, hope it lands. Like, I'd have to. I don't know on the top of my head. I have to see some recaps.
If I take off Michael Wilson, Marquise Brown revenge game too.
Oh, I like it.
And we're coming up with like a lot of like narrative based things that we're just kind of like forcing
Yeah, I mean, and again, you like this game. This is kind of out of left field for me. Again, yeah, but I don't hate it because, like you said, there is a prior. Josh Dobbs threw for 28 completions versus the Niners a few weeks ago. So if you're keying on that type of game script performance, you're going to have an uptick in opportunities for your wide receivers. So I mean, there's definitely an angle that has validity to it.
Mm-hmm. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do Dobbs 225, McBride 60. I am going to do the Dobbs 2 touchdowns. Marquise Brown 80. It's plus 4,000 lock.
Brave
I think
man.
The Dobbs 2 touchdowns not terrible. He's done it 3 times this season. It's not like unparalleled. All right, you didn't like that game anyway, so let's move on.
Let's go to Mike's Hurts game. Let's break down this, see what we can navigate.
Yeah.
The good thing is these teams played already. Not that always matters, but sometimes it can. So we have a clear opportunity as far as like, oh, how could this game go? Well, this is one way it could go. How it went the last time.
Yeah. Okay, so Eagles, Commanders out to 7. Total 43.
Seems kind of low.
It's pretty low.
I feel like, I mean, if Eagles dominate, I feel like the Eagles could get that. I mean, 38 points.
I mean, the Eagles, like, yeah, I guess it's possible.
Commanders.
So Mike was pitching Hurts 275 over 36 rush, Swift 90. Ooh. Smith 70.
Well, let's see. So
that's just like a total.
Well, the hard part of this is like, yeah, I'm not like, it's a lot of not sure what's correlated or not. So it's just like kind of parlay central. So I would try to look at it from a game script perspective is what are we keying on from game flow first, based on this. So like if Hurts is going over 275 passing, is that what he went over last time? Where are we at? All right, so the first game this year was 31-34. Commanders kept kind of answering. Actually, Commanders were up 17-7 in the second quarter. At halftime, they were up 17-10. And then it was A.J. Brown. And then went to OT.
Oh, yeah. A lot of A.J. Brown.
Sam Howell's had a decent game. Just A.J. Brown's been playing. If Tyreek Hill wasn't balling, I feel like everyone would just be talking about A.J. Brown.
Yes, definitely.
So I think even him has been a little under the radar just in general in all aspects. But they did play once before. Like, do you think from just a historical perspective, how you remember how teams like to play round 2, do you think like that's an advantage for either team here? Like keying on what worked, what didn't, like how to shift into better X, Y, or Z, or I mean, does Washington even have the talent on defense really to take advantage of anything? Probably not. Is Sam Howell just going to get sacked more in this game than the last time? I mean,
I think it definitely does come down to what's he going to do is he going to get rid of the ball and whatnot. But again, we've seen the Washington be able to, I don't think the defense is going to slow the Eagles down. Again, the Eagles, sometimes they can put that game script together where they're just essentially trying to draw the clock down.
Yeah. Like versus the Bucks.
And versus the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Hurts 325, Brown 110. Again, Hurts 3 passing touchdowns. You don't like touchdowns.
Well, hold on. Just to clarify, I don't mind them, but where I mind them is a bad, like, not a bad player, but a bottom player that there's no way to predict. Like Josh Allen over touchdowns, sure. Jalen Hurts, probably. Patrick Mahomes, like, I mean, it's got to be guys that are gonna like get the ball in the end zone, but Josh Dobbs, like, I don't know, maybe like versus a good Ravens defense, like, there's so many ways to lose that. And I only know this because Derek Carr threw for 350 yards and only threw for 1 touchdown. Like, they only got 1 touchdown in the game. I don't know how, but that's how it fucking happens. Probably all the fades they throw in the fucking back of the end zone every goddamn fucking time in the red zone. But they literally, I think they did 4 downs in a row on the 10-yard line in that game at the end of it. Fade to different receivers every time in the end zone, and they all missed. If memory serves, I can't remember the top of my head exactly, but and
I wonder if you're just like, yeah, go on.
To your point, is Hurts kind of like build dependent on Howell being competitive? Because then to me, maybe there's a correlation there, like the last game, right? Howell almost hit 300 yards because he had to, like, they just keep scoring. Does that apply to Jalen Hurts? And we should look, how many of those yards came into OT for Jalen? Let me see if I can look this up really quick. Do some play-by-play.
Also, let's look in the, because a lot of these totals are pretty low. What about the just the weather on some of these?
Yeah, I don't know. What is the weather? I don't know. Are you going to pull that up? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. So it looks like Hurts at his when they played Washington the first time. It looks like I'm getting like yeah, like 20, not even 20 yards in OT for Jalen Hurts. So we discount that. He had 319 yards. So he had like 300 yards passing the first time. 25 completions. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith both 8 pretty decently, which again bears out because this Commanders secondary has just been obliterated by top talent on the outsides. And then on the flip side, Terry McLaurin was the key target, which I think his numbers have kind of dipped. So like King on a, Howell's going to have to throw the ball to have any success. McLaurin's props only 58.5. That seems pretty low. If we get, what's his?
What did Howell throw for last time?
290. And McLaurin, that's interesting. McLaurin 6 catches for plus 127. Seems like a pretty good value. Let me look up McLaurin. I forget. Recently, Washington's offense has been wonky recently. They looked better earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, because I mean I really liked what they were doing besides the sacks. I was like, oh, okay, like Ben-Ami is finding some success with both running and passing, and it's just falling off a cliff. And maybe it's just because it kind of like been figured out with how to like figure Sam Howell out, which is like he's a getting sacked machine. I mean, hold on a second. What the fuck? Why is his numbers so low? All right, so Terry McLaurin, okay. So he had his breakout game. So all right. So 4 targets, 6, 10, 5, 11, 9. I mean, you can guarantee, 6 to 9 targets in this game, and he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games this year. He's hit over 5 to 6 catches. In Philly, he had 8 catches on 10 targets for 86 yards, and his numbers this week, 6 catches plus 127, 58 yards minus 115. I mean, you're not even predicting anything that amazing. You're just so. I mean, just generally, Terry McLaurin looks very underpriced in this spot. Assuming Sam Howell is going to have a solid game and not be completely just obliterated every down.
Yeah, so Philly's offense or defense definitely healthier. So Sick has them a 90 on offense, a 92 on defense. So yeah, so pretty healthy on defense, so nothing to take. Oh yeah, and that's going to be Kevin Baird's first game.
Yeah, I mean, first game, that's got to be tough, though. Like, new system, new players, teammates. Probably, I mean, would he play the whole game? I seems like way too soon, right?
Like, Washington defense also very healthy.
Does it matter? I mean, it's Washington defense, man. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do. Especially for the assumptive talent on the front line, man. It's just like, where is it?
I guess that this is just the game that, I mean, again, like the last game, was like super high scoring. This now one's at 43. It just seems like...
and there's a world where, from Washington's perspective, they got out to a 17-3 lead, right?
Yeah, so that made them be aggressive. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, because see, I just don't think Philly's going to like try to like just smoke Washington for the sake of smoking them. I think they want to play like they played versus Miami, which is like run the ball, like drain the clock, win the game, and get out.
Yeah, like an ugly. Well, let's see. If we look at Hurts, but he still threw for 279 yards. But maybe closer. Let's give a game comp that feels a little more likely. Maybe Hurts. Well, that's when they ran the ball over Minnesota.
Yeah, and there's these reports, about like this is like a key, like AJ's talking about. Like I read some of those things. Like this is a major game where, if they lose it, then basically they're going to start playing for the draft type stuff, which is
okay.
I don't know if that's gonna. I mean, you got to win. You're playing for your jobs all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's gonna be like a meaningful factor.
Yeah.
Darnell says he likes the McLaren play. Yeah, Curtis Samuel's banged up, but he may be out.
Oh yeah.
I think you were talking about Dotson has not performed well.
Oh, he's been atrocious. He's got like no separation. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. They don't know how to use him. He doesn't know what he's doing. You can't touch him. You can guess, but there's nothing I've seen from him. Because I also like preemptively like traded for him preseason in my fantasy drafts.
Yeah,
that was a mistake, big mistake. I mean, if anything, I would say, keying on Logan Thomas, if you wanted an alt receiver off McLaurin. Let's see, what is Thomas? Because I mean,
it's like also like this is the other thing is also like I think you make a good point in that the Eagles were down in that game, which created a different sort of game script, and I don't think we can expect that to happen again. So especially, the Eagles are one of the best teams from a scripted perspective. And that didn't work versus Washington. But it's very difficult to say that is going to happen again, especially, and then we see Washington, one of the worst teams from a scripted perspective.
Well, another one's interesting. So I think Logan Thomas is interesting because he had the last game they played, he had 41 yards. on 3 catches. His total right now is 32.5. So they're definitely playing this kind of like Washington's offense isn't going to be very good, not going to be able to do much. But as we saw with the Bears, they keep, as the Bears got a lead, they keyed on all the receivers down the field and basically let Sam Howell stay in the pocket, either get sacked or throw to Logan Thomas over the middle or running back. So I feel like worst case scenario, you're going to get a very similar game scenario. So either he gets his 3-4 targets like a normal game, or he gets 5-6 targets because it's just like dump off mode because, late in the game they're behind and just. So I mean, I could see a Logan. If you're looking at Washington, it's hard for me to see a Washington angle like bunch of overs. But if you just wanted props, I think Thomas, McLaurin are pretty decent, options, and then probably anything AJ Brown, just because dude's just a monster. And Washington cannot. I don't know. I don't know if they know what they're doing. That game with DJ Moore was just like, are you going to guard the best player on the field or no? Are you just not going to do it?
Yeah,
the whole
that's
game?
The other thing is actually, I mean, like just Washington, it's like so hard to bet them and to bet their props and things like this because you just don't they're so wishy-washy and Howell's so vulnerable behind that offensive line that, I mean.
But that's actually good because again, like it makes it so that like they're going to have to throw it. Like, let me look at Howell's kind of like, even if it's not good throwing, again, it's hard to quantify like, oh, is he going to throw well or not? But like, you don't have to quantify like, oh, he's going to throw the ball 50 times, So versus Atlanta, all right. So they're not going to throw the ball a lot like versus Atlanta when like they're in front and it's an easy game. But as we know, they're behind. Last week he threw 42 times. Versus Chicago, 51 times. Versus Philly, 41. Versus Denver on that big comeback, 39. The only game where he was in comeback mode that it didn't really go where he thought it would because he just couldn't do anything was versus Buffalo, and that was 29. So, I mean, all the game scripts of like being from behind. I mean, you're talking 40 pass attempts by Sam, connecting 22 to 27 of them.
What happened in this game versus Giants last week? I mean, I didn't really watch. I mean, you've gotten like obviously an ugly offensive performance versus Giants.
Yep.
Again, the game script I guess was a little bit different versus the Falcons. Falcons defense is pretty good, at least according to EDP perspective. So maybe this one's a little bit more forgivable. But basically, another like meh offensive game.
Yeah. I mean, he got sacked.
Again, played terrible versus the Bears, but still were able to again get stats because of in kind of junk time, which was like the whole fourth quarter. And then that Eagles game, which was week 4. That was like a good offensive game. Obviously, the Bills was terrible.
Yeah.
Broncos was a good one in the second half, at least.
Yeah.
So, and then like the Cardinals. So I feel like they put together essentially like a full game versus the Eagles, a half versus the Bears in junk time, and a half versus the Broncos. They put together like 2 full games of like strong offensive performance. Just going to be, I don't know, like if I want to bet on that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, to me, the only real angle if you're doing any Commanders is, a general comeback mode. You're going to throw the ball 40 times, and so who's getting the share of that and those overs?
All right, let's pivot. Yeah. I was going to say let's pivot to, I think, probably my favorite game, which is going to be Texans-Panthers.
Yeah. If you're listening, should I give away my core for this week?
Do it.
All right, so in general, we know the truth, right? The Panthers defense, like Brett showed at the top, pretty banged up and already bad on top of it. It's going to be hard for Houston not to score. So that's obviously one way to look at this game from a build perspective. My main build, though, is kind of like the inverse of that is, yeah, Houston's not great in the secondary either down the field. So Bryce Young, to me, has shown some improvements. Obviously, he's king a lot on Adam Thielen. And new play caller. I think through the bye week, they've implemented him. And I think this was partially always the plan. So it's not like a complete, like, oh, I suck, here's the play calling now. But I think that adds a little bit of a wrinkle to where it's going to be hard to predict what Carolina exactly is going to call play to play. So it's not going to be easy to key on any tendencies or anything. Kind of like the Bucks early in the season because the new play caller just has an advantage because he's new. Now he's like obviously sucks.
Okay.
So, you know, maybe I should just pull up my ticket because that'll be easier. Hold on. Ding, 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 ding. It's basically a Bryce Young. Bryce Young over his yards, and with Thielen and one other, and I think Panthers team total, or no, I think the game total. Yeah, it's the game total. So the stack to me, the core stack in this game is the total over, or Houston's team total over is probably safer than Carolina's. And then from there, leveraging into obviously like the QBs and their key targets. So very simple. Don't have to get too crazy. But yeah, that's my general like core, and then building out from there. What's your like main angle that you like?
Stroud over yards, 3 touchdowns. Tank Dell 100 yards is plus 6,000.
Oof. Let me see that again. What is that? CJ 3 passing. Man, I hate touchdowns. Because like again, if you're dominating a team, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, all right. So all right, I'll push back a little bit, right? All right, just test this out. So it's plus 6,000. Put CJ down to 2 touchdowns passing, and do Tank Dell 1 touchdown catching. Because I feel like
I hate that. That's way worse.
No, hold on a second. Hold on. If you're putting Tank Dell over 100 yards, okay, you're putting in some big explosive plays. He's not getting 10 catches, okay? He's getting what, 6 catches, 7 catches? So I mean, we're getting chunk plays. We're getting like an explosive play where he breaks free for a touchdown.
Oh, man, and also just real quick, like again, we've talked about how sometimes adding some legs totally not worth it. Yeah. Literally, if I keep it as is, Tank Dell only moves us 1,000.
Yeah, it's terrible. So now do CJ down to 2 touchdown just to see what the variation is.
Plus 5,300, losing 700.
That's just over.
Almost no. It's not necessarily losing 1,000. It's losing 1,000.
Yeah, that's not great either. But
nah, that's
man, it's just. Yeah, they're really nuking you on the correlation with Tank Dell touchdown, but man, it's just throwing for 3 touchdowns is just it's tough. I don't mind it, but then like all right, so for me, if you're going the touchdown angle, like Dave Montgomery's gonna get 3 touchdowns that week, and he does, like then to me there's some like other correlations you like almost like might as well add in. I don't know what, but like sometimes like or like. The team's going to like Lions are going to blow out the Falcons. Like whatever it is.
What if I just actually maybe move out this alt spread?
Do team total over. Do an alt total.
It's going to be like, I think
an alt total. I mean, how many points do you put Texans on? So, all right, 3 touchdowns, 21 points. You think they'll probably get to 30? I think Panthers. Definitely.
See, actually, this is not bad. It's 4,000. CJ Stroud 300, Tank Dell 100, Texans minus 9.5.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I guess you really like the Texans. I don't.
I really like the Texans.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if you like that angle. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense from where things have been. I'm just kind of like probably too contrarian for arbitrary's sake. So, but I mean, as far as this angle, so play out this angle. So Texans are gonna win by margin. CJ Stroud's gonna throw for 300 yards. It's just Panthers too banged up, can't stop anything. Tank Dell's gonna have an explosive play or two.
Ooh,
that's. But see, this is kind of what I'm saying. All right, so if we're over 300, so we're 150. Half his yards are coming between those two players. Woods is out. Robert Woods, I think, is out last I checked. So probably Nico Collins, Schultz. Oh, let me check Schultz. I don't mind the Tank Dell.
He gets a lot of target share. He gets a lot of target share.
But then that's what I'm saying. Maybe the better option is his targets. That's why I'm looking him up. Because again,
he gets the yards too.
Yeah, maybe. But actually, in a game like this with this game script, you probably do want to go yards over because you might have limited opportunities because they don't need to throw. So you're not going to get like a shit ton of opportunities. So lower volume. Where the fuck is Dalton Schultz? Where you at, Schultes?
7 targets, 60. 10 targets, 60. 3 targets, 40. 7 targets, 30.
Yeah, and he has had an uptick in targets the last 2 weeks. And 65 and 61 yards. Those were competitive games, though. New Orleans and
Atlanta. And a blowout versus Pitt, didn't get much, but he did get a touchdown, 3 and 42.
So, all right, but so now we're keying on some correlation here, right? So if you think it's gonna be a competitive game, right? Which I think
I don't.
I lean that angle. So I would be more inclined to put Dalton Schultz over in my SGP. Yours, if you're saying Houston blows him out, putting it over with him, like it just doesn't really make sense based on what some priors have. There's not really some correlation to that. Especially because, if he's throwing for 3 touchdowns, like, yeah, maybe he's just efficient down the field, but it's more likely, to your point, that it's like throwing it down the field with explosiveness. So your Tank Dells, your Nico Collins have more correlation in that sense, if that's the angle.
So if I throw in Thielen plus 100 yards, again, assuming that, according to like what you're talking about, like Bryce Young, they're obviously going to have to be playing in a deficit, and he's like targeting him.
And I agree. So I agree with your angle. I know where you're going. What I would say is make sure you test the prices at 100, 90, 80, like, because there's a good chance that you're not getting the value bumping it up to 100. I'm just letting you know. It just depends. That's why you got to look at every leg and.
Yeah. No, I mean it's.
Is it worth it? I mean, it is.
Yeah. I mean, it goes from 5,000.
I would say 90.
90's.
Yeah, that's where I would say but that's what I'm saying. You got to test it because, 10 yards, getting over 10 yards, might be difference between winning and losing. So I try to get
but you can keep saying that, over 10
but what I'm saying is it worth the premium, right? From 90 to 100?
The thing is if he's going to get, but it's if he's going to get 90, is he going to get 100? Yeah, or is he going to just get 30? All
right, but let me be for instance, okay? So
basically, if he flirts with 90, is he going to get 100?
So the last 2 blowouts, right, by Detroit and Miami, he had 13 targets and 11 catches, exactly the same. He had 107 and 115 yards, okay? So maybe, but if he's a little short on one of those catches, so he's got to get 11 catches. He's a little short on one. You're at 98. The safer margin is 90.
The 90 actually, seems like no man's land. Again, it's either he goes for over 100 or he's going to be short of 90. He's going to be short of 80. Going to be short of 70.
If the value's there, I say go for it. If it's not, maybe not. It's up to you.
I'm just saying sometimes
all right, but for instance, right? So you could even do it to a different leg. CJ Stroud, 300 plus yards. If you nuke it down to 270, how much does it affect the price realistically? Because if it's materially affected, then sure, keep it in. But give yourself the best opportunity on the upside and protecting your downside in all directions. Is the way I'm trying to look at it.
Yeah. Well, Bryce Young, no, it's like basically double. So.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying, make sure you check, because I'm telling you, sometimes their pricing based on when the correlation or whatever, like it's so far fucking you on the upside. Like you drop it by 40 yards and you're losing a few hundred, a few percent points. Like it's not. I'm just make sure the book's not fucking you is kind of my main point, because they're trying to fuck you. Like that's why, like literally, I told Brett, I did a prop where it's like quarterback 230, 240, 250, 260, and like in the middle, it dropped my SGP price. Like I was getting less value by going up in yards.
Right.
I'm
right.
What? So obviously,
has Tank Down gone over 100 yards?
Let me look. Dell.
Once.
One, yeah. Jacksonville.
Versus Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's tough sledding. I mean, he had those two big games.
Yeah, it's not. Basically, if I'm gonna do 100, I probably might as well just do the 110.
Yeah, I mean, I personally prefer. I'm leaning Nico Collins in this game because I feel it's a little safer, just from a. But again, it depends what your angle is.
Nico 100.
Maybe. Yeah, I have 90 in my SGP article. Percentage 60, 79, 61, 70. I mean, Robert Woods is out this week, so yeah, I mean, the more I think about this game, the more I think both these guys are going to be hard to stop. I mean, Nico's gone over 140 yards twice, and he's at 80 twice.
Really?
Yeah. But it does...
Nico 125
plus, is that 850?
Yeah.
I mean, that feels more likely than Dell. But if you're getting such big value, there's a world where if you like it enough, I mean, I would swap one in, swap one out, because it does appear. I mean, if you're gonna get, and again, I don't love the 9.5. You can keep it. Like I'd rather do the total over or the team over. Can you do the team total over rather than Houston's minus 9.5?
Yeah, but the minus 9.5 is like plus 300. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you like that angle, so. Just yeah, maybe. I don't hate it. Well, then to me, what you're betting in this game scenario, fundamentally speaking, is Texans are legitimately like better than the market still thinks. Because I think the Panthers have improved off the bye. They'll be better all around. And again, even defensively with all these injuries, sounds bad, but when you have a bye, it gives you an opportunity to like get your players up to speed.
Actually, I'm gonna do 16.5 because it's plus 500. Just like smoke them. They're gonna smoke them.
Maybe. I mean, that's a lot of points. I don't know about that.
I like that Nico Collins 120.
On the road, 16.5. That's oof. Oof.
I mean, we're talking about potentially one of the worst teams in the NFL.
No. But I mean, again, if you're going based on the situation, right? Coming off the bye, new play caller, offense has improved, have found a weapon that they trust in Thielen. I think Sanders is back. If Houston's going to win by 16.5, like Panthers are the worst team in the NFL unequivocally, and that is possible. But like so bad that like it's probably time to consider firing everybody. Like in this spot, like this isn't a random week 4, week 9 that there's no other events. I mean, they're coming off their bye. Like, this is by 16.5. Either Bryce Young is a complete bust. This coaching staff should be fired by the end of the season. Like, it's bad. So that's just a tough bet to make. So that's kind of the angle that you're angling here.
I'm basically like going into Steelers, I guess, type game script.
Yeah, maybe. But I think Panthers have looked better on offense than the Steelers at times. Bryce Young's a little more accurate. Yeah, I don't know. But why 16.5 just feels like kind of like a really big number. You took it off though, I see.
Yeah, because I think they're gonna crush them.
Again, I don't mind the right situation, right? Like, remember that one time, I think a few years ago, it was Herbert, I think his rookie season or something. Everyone's like loved him. And then he had to go play Bill Belichick and the line was like -3. And I'm like, I think we argued about the game. I'm like, the Chargers are gonna lose by 20. Like, if it goes the way I think it's gonna go, like, they're gonna get obliterated. That's how Bill Belichick operates. And it hit. But that would be that to me was like a situational type opportunity to go, you know what? Let's roll out the 16.5. Like, this just seems like, better team, bad team. They'll win by a lot. Like, maybe. I don't know.
All right. So I got, again, this is like a little wussy one. This doesn't do anything for me, but I did Stroud 300, Collins 100, Texans -2.5.
I love that you just went full degen.
Why?
It's a little wussy one. What was the number you got?
Plus 1,600.
16-1 on say it again. Stroud over 300.
Stroud 300, Collins 100.
100.
And then Texans -2.5.
Yeah, so it's 3 legs plus 16-1. I mean, I don't think that's terrible. If you have a strong angle that you think, well, you know, the line should be 3.5, 4, and yeah, I don't hate it. But I mean, 16-1's good. Like, I don't know. I mean, a lot of my core SGPs have been like 300 plus 400 plus 500 plus 600 because I'm just trying to build out from like an angle.
I want to just like, all right, let's do like, I want to do a ridiculous one.
Yeah,
all right. I want the 25 to win 6,000.
All right. Do the one that I'm going to do.
So where's that angle?
All right. So let's key on what has been working this season. Judah led me into this, and now I'm kind of trying to look at it from his angle. Is an upset by a team that you get an alt angle on that you key in the quarterback going his overs, and then if you need to, leg into like his top weapon. Very simple, right? Your
okay.
Bears, Fields, DJ Moore
yes,
stack.
Exactly.
So situationally, it's a risk, but Bengals, Burrow, and then if you want to add Chase, I think the Burrow Bengals alt line, maybe the Bengals -5.5. It could hit an OT. They could win by a touchdown late in the game, pick 6, all kinds of outs to get there. If it's
like how many yards for Burrow?
What's his max?
350 plus 1,000.
Yeah. Let's do 350. I'm gonna dig into Burrow real quick.
Dang, Jesus.
What is it?
I'm just saying that's good. Like.
I think that's.
So you're thinking like what? Like Bengals -2.5 or something?
Oh, -5.5. Let's go. Let's aim big first, and then we'll pull back if we need to. And he had 317 versus Arizona 2 weeks ago, so that's his biggest of this year. But I did read something that they're gonna. He went over 350 3 times last year. So 350 might be pushing it, but it's plus 1,000 for a reason. What is that?
Man, Jamar Chase 100 yards only plus 148.
Yeah, you're getting plus 10,000 if you add him in. Yeah, passing. I mean,
if Joe Burrow's going to go for 350, I mean, Jamar Chase is going to go.
Yeah, he's got to get over 100. Yep. Definitely. If not more.
Like 150.
Yeah, it might be too much.
Oh, that's your 6,000.
Is that? Well, you wanted it. I mean, all right. So he should be playing under center. So, which apparently is going to happen now. Which means maybe he's fully healthy. There's a lot of chatter, and maybe this isn't the game that they get exposed again, but it's a short week, as we know, for San Francisco versus the Bengals, who are coming off a bye, right? So this is a very weird situation for the 49ers after getting exposed by Kirk Cousins. There's a lot of chatter.
Getting exposed.
I mean, how good is their defense really? That's what I mean. So my question is, so there's a lot of hubbub about the defensive coordinator for the 49ers being not what they used to have. Okay, I think Steve Wilkes. So if that's true, did the Vikings just expose that defense, right? We don't know. But who are they facing next? Joe Burrow, who's coming to turn a corner. Like, so again, from an alt game scenario, I mean, you're getting Burrow underpriced because the assumption is he's not doing well. He's blah, blah, blah. And based on last year's games, the entire season, if we say 3 times this season, he's going to go over 350 yards. Okay. There's what? Through the course of the season, he did it, 17% of the time last year? He went over 350 yards.
What about Mixon under 54? That doubles it.
Ooh, that's interesting. Well, no. Niners did not look good against the run versus Madison and Cam Akers. Because the passing game opened things up, like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's worth the risk. But then again, I've noticed Vikings do want to run the ball. They just haven't been able to run it effectively, but they want to run it. The Bengals have shown over Burrow's career, like, they're okay completely abandoning it. They're like, yeah, we don't have to run it today. So that could be an angle. I don't know. And Mixon has been fairly ineffective, so that's part of it. And I think he's losing snap share to other running backs at times. Like, as in they're trying to find if they have a better running back on the roster.
Mm-hmm. The Bengals minus 5.5 makes me a little nervous too.
I mean, 2.5. I mean, put 2.5. See what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I mean, is Purdy playing or is Darnold playing? Part of my angle was
Purdy's playing.
I will say this. Part of my angle when I built it was if Darnold plays and like we have a Darnold kind of like shit show a little bit, plays into Bengals' hands maybe a little more. Yeah, I like Burrow 325 a little better. Feels a little safer. Mixon. Yeah, just Mixon, man. I don't maybe. Well, let's see Mixon's numbers real quick.
54 yards? I mean, he's got to have a pretty good game.
Well, but what I remember last week because I faded Rachaad White in a very similar spot is like he had one 35-yard run called back because of like a hold or something that was kind of BS. Like it takes one good run and it's gonna go over. Like it could just be a broken tackle, it could be a shitty fucking whatever. And what is his line? 50 what?
54.5.
I mean, he's gone over that every game except one this season. So obviously the competition matters, but even in games where they were losing or bad game scripts, like he's gone over that one way or another.
Okay,
that's a tough one. And maybe it's because Joe Burrow was hurt and now he's not, or he's feeling better, so like they're gonna just say fuck it, chuck it. If that's your angle, but it just sounds like you're just trying to get a boost. Which again,
trying to get a boost.
Yeah, well, that's just risk. Because if they're moving the ball this successfully, then you imagine it's a tight game and you need them to cover to win. Like, they're going to try to run the ball. So you got to put him at least 14, his minimum carries, 13, 14 carries, which he hit 56, 59, 67 yards on that attempts. So you're right at it to the over. I don't know. Not loving it. There's got to be a better.
Can we get a Joe Burrow rushing touchdown
with his bum leg? No.
It's supposed to be like healthy.
I mean, that could be an interesting angle.
Because man, when he had a good leg,
when
he's healthy, he's
yeah. Well, that's what Judah talks about. That's one of his main perks. Is his ability to navigate outside of the pocket and run.
I mean, the Joe Burrow touchdown is like, it's tough.
Cousins has played man. Kirk Cousins played so well the first 3 weeks, and they went 0-3. Jesus Christ, look at his numbers. Wow.
I am gonna do this one though. I mean, Chase 125, Burrow 125, Bengals -2.5. With the Joe Burrow touchdown is 25 to win $7,000.
Joe, dude, that's such. But like, why waste $25? Like, I wouldn't bet $25 for Joe Burrow to get a touchdown running it, period. So why am I gonna?
Because it's only plus 900. This is plus 30,000. Like,
yeah, I would put $2 on it just because it, like, to me, it's such random variance. There's no angle to it. It's like, how do you even price it at plus 900? Like, it's the number to me is even. I'm just saying there's got to be. I would either keep it at this. It's not, if you want more leverage, do something more. I don't know. Either correlated or smart. I don't know, smarter. I mean, what about Higgins? Higgins is due to fucking come to life. If he's gonna throw for 325 yards, what's Higgins has got to be under. Like his yardage, and that feels much more opportunistic. Because you can't predict Joe Burrow's gonna get a rushing touchdown. That's such a random. It's just like there's no way to predict when that's gonna happen. There's no angle. It's just his knee's better. so maybe. Here, and I'll do a little.
Higgins 80 yards. Higgins has just been like out of favor this season, man. Like,
well, but he started the season with like 10 targets. He just only caught 2 of them. You know, Burrow is hurt, so a part of me think of it like the first week, right?
Okay, so like we're just building one for like this is gonna be old school Bengals.
Yeah.
Like
that makes sense. That's what I'm talking about. That's an angle. It's all priced together. There's some correlations up and down. But if you're just gonna throw in like Dick Butt gets a touchdown, it's like, well, maybe, I don't know. So I'm going to tell you one quick thing as an example. So Burrow had 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 5 games last year, not counting the playoffs, where he scored a touchdown rushing. So, but again, when is he going to score that touchdown? I don't know. Let's see if it was in games where he threw for a lot of yards. 1, yes. In one of those, all right. So in one of those 5 games, he threw for over 350 yards, and it was his 481-yard game. So 4 out of his 5 games where he scored a touchdown rushing went well under 350 yards. Just for some context. So just based on like last year's, I'm healthy, I can run, you know, only his like monstrous game did he get a rushing touchdown.
If I throw in Tyler Boyd touchdown, that really, really explodes it.
Let's look at Boyd. I mean, I definitely like that better than Burrow. The Burrow seems totally just stupid random.
Yeah.
Let's look at Burrow. Because that at least has some correlation. Yeah, I mean, he's getting, I mean, dude, Tyler Boyd might be one to key on. I mean, he's getting from a receptions. What's his receptions at? He's had 8.9777 target share the last 6 weeks. And he had a touchdown last week. I mean, his yardage is fucking terrible. Like, definitely, like.
Okay, so maybe yards under.
Do his receptions.
I mean, if you do Boyd like touchdown and yards under with everything else, this is gonna be explosive. Not as explosive, I thought, but.
Well, 32.5.
I mean, under 32, that's tough.
It
basically has to be like a 25-yard strike touchdown, and he's like done for the game.
Yeah, no. On a 320-yard prop game.
And actually didn't bust it up as much as I thought it was gonna.
No, it's not worth it. Tyler Boyd touchdown? Are we just getting greedy?
I mean, it's for $7,000. I mean, obviously, it's plus 2,800.
But let's look at, rather than add new legs, because that adds in so much variance and risk. What about, so Cincinnati minus 2.5? Why not 3.5? Why not 4.5? Why not 5.5? Like, why are you stuck on 2.5? I'm just asking the question. Like, how much boost do you get if you put 5.5 now? Is it meaningful or is it not?
I don't think it's that meaningful. So it's not like a Tyler Boyd touchdown.
I mean, that boosted up what, 2,000? Almost like 1,700.
Yeah.
Bucks. I mean, that seems more. Because again, what you're keying on to me is not only is Burrow going to have a good game, but like the Vikings, if the quarterback's having a good game, they're getting their points, and then Brock Purdy has to carry the team on his back, which, as we saw last week versus the Vikings defense, supposedly a terrible defense, he couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just too inaccurate, getting turnovers.
I think I'll do both these. I actually like this. I mean, Chase 125, Burrow 325, Higgins 80, Bengals minus 5.5 is plus 20,000.
That's pretty good. I think that's much fair. That's a good one.
And then I think I'm just going to do that exact same build with the 2.5.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, this is Bengals comeback parade. Or I'm going to do that same one, except with like just a little bit reduced on across the board.
I would reduce the whole thing and just to cover your exposure if that game script hits. Because again, what I found like last week, right, is our Mac Jones build angle, fucking brilliant. But we overexposed ourselves to a bad leveraged version of it and didn't capitalize on the core fucking narrative. Like, gotta capitalize on the core.
Yeah.
So 2.5.
That's what I'll do. Bengals 2.5, Burrow 300, Chase 100, Higgins 60.
See, I like that. Yeah. That sounds something like that. And again, we're not, for this live stream, guys. For anyone still there, we're obviously kind of like spitballing, shooting from the hip as we do it. Brett's obviously placing some bets as he goes. For the live stream purposes, it's definitely going to be just kind of shoot from the hip. We're just talking shop, seeing what we can dig up. For your guys' purposes, do whatever the fuck you want. But at the same time, run some numbers, do your due diligence, make sure that you're finding the value you think the bet should have. Because we're a little looser, I think, on the stream than you may be or should be. So, we don't have any sponsors pushing us to do this, by the way. We just do it because we like it. Not yet. Maybe someday they'll pay us to make degenerate bets all the time.
They're obviously watching the stream, so.
Plus 50,000. There will be a hurricane that'll wipe out the Jets game. I want to bet on that. it could happen. Never know.
I definitely like the angle, this angle though, of just, hey, like we're going to play Bengals, like old school Bengals. I mean, it's basically giving you like 10, 20, 200 to 1. Saying and again, that's not going to happen.
And again, I love that angle. I put in the SGP article this week. The thing I want to continue to refine as we do this every week, hopefully, is finding the variant that we build from, like this angle that we're talking about, and how we capture the stacked upside without overexposing ourselves just to the max upside, so that if it does hit, Bengals win by 3, and like Chase gets 100 yards and Burrow goes over 290, we didn't like walk away just losing money, right? Like that's the goal.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate you pitching some trades.
Yep. All right, so let's see what we did last week real quick. Let's just go around looking at the slate. Is there an angle that sticks out? Because we had success saying, like, oh, Lamar could have a big game. We had success being well, Mac Jones could fucking come off.
What about again, the Falcons been throwing more. The Titans.
Ritter's been good, and they just trade away the safety.
That's.
No, I mean, all right, hold on. Compared to how atrocious he was the first 3-4 weeks, he's been demonstrably better. Just maybe it's schematics a little more than him, but they've been throwing it, and it's been working. I mean, they dominated the Bucs. Like, no, I mean, they should have won by 3 touchdowns, but
Desmond Ridder 300 yards plus 750.
Seems like a bad price, to be honest. Little too shitty. Also, some familiarity with the coaches, right? Titans tree.
Desmond Ridder 275 plus 400.
Well, hold on a second. Well, Titans are good at stopping the run, right? We know that. So it's a Ridder game, and they just trade away their safety. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm with you. I'm with you on this angle. That there's some life to it.
I would agree with you though. I thought that like it would be like juicier.
Yeah, it's definitely not. So I mean, his last 3 games: 329, 307, 250. Houston, Washington, Tampa Bay. Washington was somewhat comeback mode. Houston was also comeback mode. God dang, they really fucking unleashed him. And it's supposed to be another tight game. I mean, all 3 games were tight. He struggled in his beatdowns. Yeah, so when it's a tight game and they're playing well overall, he seems to go over. When he's getting beat down.
But also, he's not throwing touchdowns, right? What's his like max touchdowns?
We had 2 versus Washington, but that's the most he's had. 1-1-1-0-0. So touchdowns I would fade because he can run, he tends to find some success running. I would actually prefer the rush angle. I wonder if you get a bigger pop in the juice because he's playing a tougher rush defense or something.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if I like these because like he spreads the ball around. Like it's Pitt, it's London, it's Smith. Like I don't know if there's any like one person.
Well, I know. I mean, London tends to get his share. Let me see.
Nah, I'm putting these together.
No. Hold on. I mean, London is. Hold on. London.
I'm just saying the prices are not good.
What's London? If you can get a good price on him, he gets 7 to 10 targets a game. That's as consistent.
What's London 100 yards?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't look it up.
Oh, what, guess?
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably like plus 600.
Plus 410.
That's terrible.
As I was just saying, Ridder 300 yards, London 100 yards is plus 1,700.
Not great. Yeah, it's something that you'd have to stack with some kind of leg and leverage it a different direction. Yeah, because they're not giving you much there.
I mean, with the Falcons win, that does make it a little bit more attractive.
Yeah, which I think you could play if you think Ritter's going to throw well. Falcons do have a decent defense, so versus the rookie QBs.
Ooh. Actually, you know what? I don't mind the under 35.5 too, because I mean it's definitely like reverse correlated.
Yeah, but I mean, the last few weeks, not a lot of points being scored by Atlanta. A lot of, I mean, pretty fluky in the Bucs game not to score, but versus Washington, very similar.
And then what about an Atlanta defensive score? 25 to win 22,000. There we go. That's what we want.
I mean, how about lower your risk then? Like, why don't you put $5 to win like $7,000? And like, you definitely don't put $25 on every fucking bet. Like, no point.
I mean, I basically allocate like $250 to SGPs.
Yeah,
like it's 10 SGPs.
Spread it around in a way that you actually have an opportunity to like keep runway when you go fucking 0 for 5 7 weeks in a row.
All right, here we go. Ritter 300, London 100, Falcons -2.5, under 35 with an Atlanta defensive touchdown.
Oof.
$8 to win $7,000. Done.
I saved you $14. You're welcome.
I don't hate the Atlanta defense. I mean, again, this price is not good at plus 1,000.
Well, but again, I don't hate it either. But
the ramp it up.
The issue I have, right, is that you're having like a very difficult leg with like other difficult legs, and like if you're stacking so many of them that aren't really correlated, I mean, it's a lottery ticket. We're trying to limit, like
what we're doing.
The book prices. All right, let me explain real quick. The book is pricing lottery tickets sometimes that are not lottery tickets. That's what we're trying to capitalize on.
Yeah,
we're not.
Sure.
In my opinion, it doesn't make much sense to try to like create lottery tickets that are actually lottery tickets. Again, Addison and Hawkinson plus 3,300 to me wasn't a lottery ticket because first off, Addison was mispriced at plus 1,500 going over his max total. And Hawkinson, based on the game script of Addison getting his, very likely the second most targeted weapon, Hawkinson was going to get over his baseline. So it wasn't an extreme lottery ticket that was priced. I put it closer, probably like 14 to 1, 15 to 1. But it was like 33 to 1. Okay, well, getting some value, and I like the angle. So I just want to make sure, you can bet however you want. I just want to make sure that people listening aren't like, oh man, these guys just fucking, they're just putting money out there and just saying, fuck it, let's go. I mean, we are, but.
I mean, it is like $8, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point to bring up is obviously like for Brett, that may be a different type of risk appetite than other kings in their portfolio, so to speak.
Let's do some Chiefs.
I'm trying to temper expectations, and Brett's like, let's go. Let's fucking go.
Well, because also, Chiefs Broncos, like there's this like narrative around there's going to be snow and stuff, and I don't think that's going to be the case. The total's still 46.5. It's one of the highest there is. The Broncos defense is one of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, Pacheco?
No. Like, what about just like a typical, another like Mahomes? Great game.
Yeah. Keep it simple. And if you remember that first Denver game, like KC,
they've always played weird versus Denver, but
it was sometimes weird to the upside. This line does feel short for a KC team versus this type of Denver team. Only -7. Giving a lot of respect to maybe one of the worst teams in NFL. Like a lot.
Who's going to get the catches?
Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce. I mean, Rashee Rice is one of my guys that I like, kind of like Addison last week, that if and when you can key on the Chiefs actually letting him be the lead receiver, that's when he's going to have a potential blow up week or two.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're going to use him enough because, again, his usage has been pretty consistent. And as long as Kelsey's healthy, I mean, Mahomes finds a way to get to Kelsey.
That's true.
So, I mean, if anything, so remember that game was kind of super wonky with Denver. I mean, could this be like a get right spot for now that they've seen the Chiefs defense? And, Sean Payton's not an idiot. Like he knows how to call some offense sometimes. And I mean, I think that was their worst week. That was their worst week offensively was Russell Wilson was versus the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. I mean, what does the inverse of that look like if he plays if the team plays demonstrably better? See, I'd be more keen on that. So you just said these games.
The Chiefs got one of the best defenses.
So did the 49ers.
But the 49ers are getting banged up, and again, I understand that there's an interesting angle to be had with the Bengals.
No, yeah, but I'm talking about last week versus the Vikings. No one was keying on that, but we bet it and it hit. I'm saying now, yeah, it's our 49ers good, but no one was saying that the week before when we actually made the money on it.
But at least EDP really did like the Vikings.
Okay. And that you're probably right. Yeah, this feels like
EDP does not like the Broncos.
Yeah. So this is more of a risk guess gamble, thus not much edge to really go on. Yeah. I mean, he did throw 3 picks versus KC, so yeah. A game I actually think it could be worth considering is this Jags game with the Steelers.
Okay.
I think it could look very similar to that Jags Saints game, from a game comp perspective. Underwhelming.
And so, what do you lean into?
Some version of Jags, maybe alt Jags and or.
I don't love it.
Christian Kirk going over. I mean,
it's just with Lawrence still being banged up.
But they're coming off their bye, right? They had their bye last week.
No, they just coming off a long week, a long week. The Saints game.
Oh yeah. They had the long week, Thursday game. Yeah, so it's like a mini bye. 110. I mean, Pikachu ate up the Steelers. A part of me thinks there's a chance we get a Ridley or Christian Kirk, probably more likely Christian Kirk, blow up game if this is a competitive game. And Trevor's going to be throwing the ball. I'm just thinking through angles of threading that needle. I also could see this game being a blowout.
For the Jags.
Yeah. I don't really see it happening the other way. I think even if Jags got down 14, I'd bet the Jags. I just don't see meltdown Jags, which is always possible, but I don't think Pittsburgh has the pieces right now to take advantage. I think it's probably going to look a lot similar to that Texans game, the Texans Steelers.
I think you were going to say Texans Jags. So I'm that sounds terrible.
Yeah, no, not that one. No, I don't think. No, they had three terrible special teams plays in that game. Very fluky. Once in a season type stuff. Or twice, maybe max. Maybe this is twice.
I guess my biggest worry on this one is just, Jags are sloppy and Steelers take advantage of sloppy teams.
Yeah.
So, and the total's at 40.
That seems low. I mean, 27-17.
So Lawrence 300 yards is plus 550. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that seems pretty. Let's look at Lawrence. Where are we at? I honestly, I feel like Christian Kirk's the safer like baseline.
Why not Ridley?
So people have been saying Ridley's metrics have been better than his output.
I feel like Ridley, remember that game in the Saints, like didn't do anything.
Yep.
I feel like there's going to be a bounce back.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think there's going to be a bounce back. The issue is like, something feels a little off with him in the system. Like, and it might just be like, and I think what I read is this: teams are keying on stopping Ridley down the field. Like they're shifting either safeties over, like, and so in that sense, they're just like, okay, we'll just feed Ingram and fucking Christian Kirk. And that might be what the Saints experience. I mean, but he has gone over 100 yards twice this season, despite all that. So despite his ups and downs, he had 101 yards. He had 122 yards.
Lawrence 300, Calvin 100. Alt minus 9.5 is plus 6,000.
Interesting. 9.5 feels like a ton. But see, like you said earlier, the 16.5, like Texans over Panthers.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens here. Jags, you can't trust the Jags. But this is a type of team and scenario where I feel like that makes more sense. Like if you're going to be like, oh man, I think Jags are just going to beat down the Steelers like the Texans beat down the Steelers, and like this is how. I could be like, okay, there's a shot.
Minus 23.5 plus 20,000.
Now I just feel like we're just totally making up numbers. At home, I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think that's likely.
I mean, it's kind of like a Jags Chargers game from last year.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, Jags did have the extra rest, and they were blowing out the Saints at one point. Let them come back, but it looked like it was going to be a blowout. Like it just looked like two different teams on two different roadmaps. Like not even close in the same ballpark. And everything looked easy for the Jags for half the game. But Saints figured out a little bit. Hung in there. Yeah, but you see why this is so hard. So minus 20.
I mean, it goes from 300. It goes from 300 to 5,000. I mean, that's pretty like.
But yeah, but going to that high. This is why you're looking for underdogs, because like the Bengals alternatives.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a 2.5 favorite to win by 20, like maybe, but on the road against a 4-2 team, like it can happen. It's just like, where's the edge of that? Like where do you see? I don't know. It just feels like arbitrary. Like you need some serious data to back up something like that. I feel like.
Do you know how many times Lawrence has gone over 300?
Let me see. Lawrence. Once. Yeah, just once. Not a lot actually. Was at Buffalo the same week Ridley went over. So there's a great example of a connection, which makes sense. I mean, Ridley's their downfield option. So
yeah, that's not terrible. So I mean, and he threw for 3 touchdowns that week, right?
I think so. He threw for 1 touchdown. Actually, he has not thrown for 3 touchdowns.
Interesting.
A lot of success with Etienne rushing. for touchdowns.
True. Yeah.
See, like an Etienne rushing touchdown, if you wanted to add into as an alternative leg to boost the value, that makes a little more sense to me than what we've talked about so far with other legs from a adding a touchdown perspective. I don't know how much boost or not there is, but passing.
Yeah. I mean, it basically almost doubles it. I mean, it's just a fair bet. I think it's just a fair bet.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's not a lot. That's for 50. And if we're going to do that, then we're going to do...
It's better than a Ridley touchdown.
Yep. Plus 1,900. Not really worth it either. What is it even if I do this? Yeah, see, so this is a perfect example. You ready? What bet would you rather take? Like, and what would you have priced this differently? So let's say Lawrence goes over his 300 yards, Ridley over 100 yards, and then a leg you add to boost it from 1,200 to 1,800, you do Jags money line. To 1,900, you do Jags -2. Which one are you taking?
Right, say that one again.
So going from 1,200, you add another leg to the parlay. 12-1. Going to plus 1,800, 18-1, Jags money line, or plus 1,900, Jags -2.
Oh, Jags money line.
Yeah. This is just me reminding ourselves and anyone listening that check their options. Do not assume that you're getting the best price on, like, if you take -2 and you imagine you hit this like 20-1, but like late touchdown, Jags lose by, Jags win by 1. Like, why put yourself in that position? You're not getting the value by putting the -2 in.
Right.
So just make sure you're not getting fucked is basically my main point. Don't get fucked by the books because they set traps everywhere to fuck you.
So about Jags -5.5, Lawrence 275, Calvin 100. It's plus 2,600.
Okay. I don't hate it. I'm trying to build it right now. I think I'm going to do a stack with Ridley and Trevor. I mean, if he's going to throw for 300 yards, I think Kirk's going to go over too. Let me check real quick.
Well, I'm doing 275.
Oh, okay, you lowered it. Yeah, I might lower it too and do well, that game versus Buffalo, how did Christian Kirk do? I think that's actually a pretty good comp right now for how Buffalo's defense has been playing. Is maybe similar to the Texans, like a little bit better than people think up front, but like the back end is like just not really that good. Yeah, I mean, Kirk had 78 yards himself receiving in that Buffalo game. So if it does appear, if there's correlation to a degree, if Lawrence is going to go over, Kirk should get his, is what I was saying. Yeah, 59. Yeah, I might add that as a base layer. Plus 3,000. See, now that doesn't sound terrible. Okay, 4-leg, 3,000.
Actually, I mean, this is like actually the best way I like to play the Jags. In fact, it's like, because I think the Jags just like they just play bad and they just lose, or they like take advantage of a Steelers defense that continues to be kind of always exploitative, but like takes advantage of opportunities, but is ultimately not good.
Yep. Yeah, so it's one or the other. Like to me, like I if I was playing Steelers, I would like as an angle, I'd play Steelers -5.5, do unders potentially for like interception with Lawrence, unders, and just like the game script completely just goes against the Jags, just has one of those shitty games. Passing, rushing. I think Deontay Johnson's also banged up. George Pickens has been like no one's talking about him. Like real quick, let me tell you his numbers. It just seems like the market like doesn't like him or something. I don't know. He's 22 and he's like outperformed expectations by a mile. I think in fantasy he's wide receiver 25, but he had 2 dud games. But in his other games, so he's had at least 6 targets every game he's played. He's had 7, 10, 6, 7, 10, 8. Okay. Now, probably less connection than most receivers, but he's had 127, 75, 130, 107 yards and 2 duds. So like 4 out of 6 games that he's played, I mean, he's connecting on like 18 yards per catch minimum up to 31 yards per catch. I mean, that's explosive plays. So that's why I keyed on him last week. And the guy I'm going to keep keying on, I think Deontay Johnson's hamstring is still like he kind of re-aggravated a little bit or something. So, I mean, they just don't have a lot of weapons. Like he's an explosive weapon down the field if, give him a chance to catch the ball. So, in any kind of game script, it seems like George Pickens' look might be worth it. Even betting maybe straight up his base prop, like whatever you fucking want. But I'm gonna add him up in my SGP. See how that looks. That. Oh, that fucking pumps it. That pumps it, dude. All right, this pumped it. You ready for this one?
Okay, do it.
It's basically what we just built, more or less. So we're going from 4-leg parlay, right? It's not great. We're at plus 3,000. Not great. We got Ridley.
Hey, go on.
Ridley over 105, Lawrence over 300, Jags to win straight up, and Christian Kirk over 59 yards his base. If we add George Pickens on the other way, which is not really correlated technically, at 96 yards plus 400, we go from plus 3,000 to plus 18,000. Huge boost. Which there's not direct correlation, but if Lawrence is going to have a 300-yard game, they're going to be scoring some points, and Pittsburgh's going to have to throw the ball at some point, like down the field, try to make up ground. Pickens has hit over 300 yards 3 times this season. I don't know, like this.
What about Pickens instead of him? Instead of Pickett? I mean, what about Pickett instead of Pickens?
Oh, Pickett instead of Pickens. I mean, let's see Pickett. I mean, I don't know. I don't like Pickens personally, but let me see his numbers.
Oh wait, you're saying Pickett? I thought you were saying Pickens.
Sorry. I'm talking about the receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Who are you talking?
Yeah, I'm talking about
quarterback.
Dude, Pickett. Yeah.
I mean, what number? Because he's only thrown. He's basically
What's the
hit
400. What's the equivalent of the plus 400?
Okay, let me see. So passing.
And Kabir wants to know thoughts on Adam Thielen receptions.
But see, that's so. Look. Perfect example. I'm glad you asked. So to go over 296 plus 405. Yeah. Okay. Pickens to go over 94 plus 400. Pickett has been 70 yards short of getting to 300 this entire season. He's never gotten close to 300 yards. Pickens has gone over 100 yards 3 fucking times. It's not even. You can't even. Mm-hmm. But it's a great example. No, it's just a great example of like why you got to kind of look at it both ways. Because if you don't, you will at some point like pick the wrong option and fuck yourself. Like from overpaying, more risk. Like, God, this is good though. I like this. I think I got like I agree with you. I think I got to lower Trevor's his prop a little bit. 300's a little too expensive.
Also, I don't know why you do just Jags straight up. Like again, I think if the Jags win by margin. Otherwise, they don't win.
I agree with you. I can't.
Gotcha.
They don't give me a alt angle in the parlay.
Gotcha.
At least unless I'm an idiot, so I can't find it. Dude, even without Trevor, this is good. But I might as well boost him up. Let's put him in there.
Dude, Adam Thielen's got 59 targets The next closest person is 29 targets.
Yeah. I think we could see
30 more targets.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a machine. What happens when like teams just key on him and be like, okay, we'll try someone else now? Maybe they don't because he's old, but like, I think DJ Shark has had some opportunities down the field. So if you're looking for like the next guy up type thing, again, he's been good in the past at times. Like he's obviously getting older, but I still think DJ Shark could show some promise here in a couple games.
Thielen's essentially at 6.5 catches.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just so tough to do that just because, again, like, dude gets hurt. Like, again, that's why one of the reasons, like, we're all looking at alts. Because it's either you're right and you're right in a big way and you're right in the game script and it pays off, rather than these, like, 50-50 odds that, you know.
Well,
it's just tough.
Exactly. No, especially to your point, especially if you're playing overs. Like, you already have a negative correlation to the game script of, an injury or clock gets run down by the other team. Like, there's so many variables. So, yeah, like, I'd rather pay Addison, get plus 1,500 over 122 than just play his prop straight up on a given week. Like, maybe it's hurt.
Yeah.
Because he did. He got hurt in the game. He, like, left. And I was like, fuck, I lost the bet. And like, but, like, I didn't care because it was a leverage bet. Like, I risked $9. Like for 300.
Yeah, it was funny. Actually, I mean, even just last week, on the same kind of wavelength, like Ben Carey from Capwise, he was making a handicap for Jalen Hyatt over, 26 yards or 18 yards or something like that. And then someone in his comments was like, 18 and a half is like long gone. It's like 21 and a half now. Yeah. And I'm just like, dude, if Jalen Hyatt, who's like obviously not been targeted a lot, but supposedly supposed to be playing more, and he's like super fast, it's like, if he's going to go over, then just like bet the fucking over. And so like I posted a ticket and just said like, and did over 50 yards plus 400.
Beautiful. Dude, I'm telling dude.
And he hit it. And again, he had like only 2 catches, but he was primed to get a big catch. So it's like, if you're going to play it, then fucking play it. But like, don't go half-assed, because when you go half-assed on these types of bets, like you're just not going to win enough to cover the juice.
But that's why
you have to get paid when you're right.
Yes. That's a great way to look at it. That's why I said, bet your convictions. Like if you think, oh man, this dude's going to blow up, then bet what you think is going to fucking happen. Because if you're not capitalizing when you're right, then the law of averages, you're just going to get milked by the books over time because of the juice. So capitalize. I agree.
And so Adam Thielen receptions, for instance, like, I mean, again, his receptions are already so high that like, so let's like Adam Thielen alt receptions.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to get 10 for like 10 catches plus 470. Like, basically, this is just saying, like, to your point, Zach, like, are the Texans essentially going to be like, Thielen is being targeted the most. He's the only one hurting teams. And it's mostly in garbage time, but like, let's just take away Thielen.
Yeah, but I guess if
and maybe teams just start to do that. Or, like, Thielen just keeps doing what he's been doing. And it's like essentially like almost like the A.J. Brown. Like, again, A.J. Brown's gone over 125 yards, like, 5 games in a row?
Yeah.
And I've bet him over the 125 the last couple of weeks in different kind of parlays. It's just like, dude, if he's going to keep doing it, then they'll keep betting that he's going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not.
Or don't bet it at all. Like, don't bet A.J. Brown over 67.5 yards minus 110.
Yeah, if he's, No, you're right. I mean, there's, and again, you have to pick your spots, right? Like, that's part of good trading is like picking your spots. So I agree. I think that's why we like these angles, is because we think we can capitalize on our wins bigger than when overall we're wrong on our losses. So that's like trading 101, right? Like, higher highs than lower lows. So,
yeah. And one of the things I don't like about like Adam Thielen props in general is, I mean, the dude has been injury prone the last few years, and he's made it through this season thus far. And again, I know that's like not always like a great angle of like, oh, betting against like him potentially getting hurt, but it's just like, you know, I personally don't love the Thielen stuff. Again, especially because he's being priced like so high now.
Yep. It makes sense.
So if you wanted to bet Adam Thielen receptions, then I would do the 9 or 10 at plus 290 or plus 470. I certainly wouldn't do the minus 6.5, minus 110.
So what are you telling me I should do?
I'm just asking. I'm answering Kabir.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. I didn't see this question. Sorry.
He was asking about Adam Thielen. You thought I was just going off about Adam Thielen for no reason?
Well, because he is in my article. So.
Oh, gotcha. Well, so what did you say?
Oh no, I just added him as a leg. So I'll clarify my position on it a little bit. I agree with you. I would say, depending your main angle, right? And sometimes it's more correlated. So to your point, like Hawkinson last week, I thought there was a huge correlation that was mispriced with Addison's game script going over. So that, but I still only put Hawkinson's base catches, and he doubled that, right? He caught 11 balls. So, but I didn't want to add the added risk that I wasn't going to get enough juice out of the book for doing so. So it's kind of like pick your poison. I don't want to over leverage on 2 legs if I can help it, because I already see some correlation, and it's like, well, now I'm adding risk if I'm trying to, like, how far am I willing to push it? So it just depends. It just depends. Like, again, it's all variable driven. Like, what's your risk tolerance, all that shit. Like, so again, it's hard for me to go, oh, this is what you should do, because I honestly think it completely depends on your strategy. What's your bankroll? What's your risk tolerance? Like Brett's obviously willing to take a little more risk. That's his risk. That's his risk tolerance. Like, he can do that. He hit a $6,000 SGP off $25 4 weeks ago. Like, he's leveraging up. We'll see if it works out, but
all right.
I like it. I'm trying to figure out how to make this a little juicier sexiness. Oh, wait, no, that's not the right guy. The fuck? Fix that, bitch. Pickens, that's what I want. Pickens 96. 4,100? Motherfucks. Did they nuke this? A little bit. What is it if I go down here? Oh, wait, I'm missing a leg. That's what I need. Jags. Aha, that's what we want. Okay.
We haven't even talked about any Dolphins like bounce back at home versus a banged up Patriots defense.
Yeah, that's true.
Just the standard Tua over.
God damn it. They limited me. Wait, so who did you limit? Yeah, once again, they've already said I bet too much of these certain player SGPs. They said, get out of here, dickwad. Also, now I gotta find out. I can't bet anymore. So if anyone listening wants to do it, I think, and Brett just did it, but just to clarify, I like it too, is a version of Jags winning with Lawrence's overs, some alt overs, Ridley, even Christian Kirk, I think you can add in if you think Lawrence is going to go over. And then on the flip side, if you want the leverage, George Pickens, alt, up to like 100 yards or so. I think that can be a nice, juicy, high leverage stack. I was seeing it for like plus 9,000 to plus 11,000 for that. So depending the number you put in, obviously, for the props. But I can't bet anymore because they cut me off. They said you've had enough. You've had enough of the Jags. We don't want you to risk any more money. We're protecting you. And what they're really doing is sabotaging my earnings. So when that wins, I will complain to nobody. Nobody's going to care. Maybe just a Brett.
Do you see what I'm building?
It's kind of funny when you get limited. Hey, we don't want you to make too much money over here, buddy. Get out of here. But I love how.
Not all right.
What is this?
Oh, yeah, listen. This is not terrible. For again, out of all my crazy $25 to win 6,000 bets, this is Hill 125, Waddle 125, Dolphins to cover, and 2 of 4 touchdowns.
Yes. Well, isn't the rookie that covered Tyreek Hill still out? The guy that was like, "Oh, this dude's amazing," and he covered Tyreek really well. Is it Christian Gonzalez? Is that his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Is he in or out? Do we know? Because that guy keyed on Tyreek, and I'm not sure they can do anything. I would say yes. This of course is possible. From where I see the game script most likely being, I think it's going to look a lot similar to that first game because remember. The Patriots offense didn't play great, but they were still in the game. Like they were still within a touchdown by the end of the game, because they limited the big plays down the field to Tyreek, made them do short stuff and run the ball, which they ran the ball well, but it kept the game within reach. So I don't know how Bill's going to let Tyreek go for 160 yards. It may not, Tyreek can get that regardless, but that's why that cornerback I think it's very crucial to are you going to bet Tyreek's overs?
Yeah, dude, he's likely out. He's out for the season.
Okay. Then I think it makes sense. I think they're still probably going to key on stopping Tyreek. I would, but that's juicy too. I think 3 touchdowns feels much better than 4, by the way.
Yeah. I think I'll do this. Yeah, and I don't have 2 at yards in there because it basically doesn't add anything.
These fuckers. Hold on a second. These motherfuckers, bro. No, and I've been waiting for. I think Waddle's going to have some games where he blows up. So I've been waiting and
definitely waiting for it too.
Oh, so it's Pickens on that one. What?
Okay.
Oh, it's Ridley on that one. Yeah, so it's Ridley and Pickens. It's just I do a couple little SGPs with a couple players and they fucking completely nuke me from using them again. Fucking dicks. I gotta get a different book for SGP purposes. Gotta split it up so they can't catch on. They're too smart.
Also, what if the... yeah, it's not bad.
33. Let's do Jags. Let's do receiving Christian. I don't think I've done this, so let's do this. It's only plus 525. Well, let me bet. Yeah, well, how much can I bet? 1,900. I actually like this. Maybe I just do my bankroll on it. No, I'm kidding.
All right, I'm gonna lock this one in. Hill 125, Waddle 125, 2 or 3 touchdowns, Dolphins to cover, 25 to win $4,000.
That's definitely interesting. Jax, Christian Kirk. Yeah, I do like this one. How much leverage can I get out of it, though? Let's see. Switch this up. $425. Well, and something I want to point out with, again, this offshore book, we'll mention names. You should know what it is. I've said enough times. So I'll place a few very small bets on a player's alt props and a SGP. And then I can still make bets. It'll give me up to a certain limit to, you know, up to, let's say, $200, $300, whatever it is. But if I place a bet like on a Friday on that player by like today, and like small bets, we're talking like 5, 10, $20, not even hitting my limit. By the time I want to bet that again, if I like come back to it, like I'm going to do Pickens again, I'm going to do Ridley again, they cut me off. So I don't know if your books do that, but if they do, make sure, like, if you don't want to get fucked, if you think you might want to use that angle again, you probably want to bet them all at the same time, because they will, I've seen this a few times now to me, they may just like, you bet it once, then they'll just cut you off in the future, like by the next day or whatever. So you'll have a limit, but then that limit will shrink if they think you're going to come back to the well. It seems. Maybe that's not all books. Maybe it's just my book. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But word to the wise.
Word to the wise.
I don't know why. It's kind of fucked up. It's like I put a $10 bet and they're like, you can't use that guy again. Like I can't even bet on his base prop. They're like, oh, you like George Pickens this week? We see that. No, you can't bet him again. No. I only put $10 on it, bitch. No. You like him.
Man, I don't even see any Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, he might be injured. Banged up or something. I don't know.
They have his regular yards.
Let's see. Where are we at? All right, let me see. Is there any other final angles worth? Packers, Vikings running. Kirk Cousins running it back. Round 2 with some. You said Packers were getting healthier. I thought they were getting worse in the defensive secondary as far as health. I think they lost their safety for the year last week. One of their corners. Last I checked.
No, I think they're definitely getting healthier. Let's see.
I don't know. Are you sure? I was hearing the opposite.
Their defense is up to an 85.5.
Yeah, but I think those injuries might be just in the secondary, no? Yeah, Stokes, right? And then free safety. They're both out. So 2 of their 4.
Savage.
So they've lost half their secondary. Alexander's back, half injured. He'll probably guard Addison. I could see another Hawkinson game, though he was getting a little winded and banged up too.
Yeah. He's banged up himself. I don't know. I think this is going to be like a division game, low scoring.
Yeah. Well, just like
I don't love it for SGPs.
No, that's fine.
All right. I think that does it for our first edition.
Sounds good.
Hopefully we got some good things on tape. Can maybe snip it. Something hits. And if it doesn't, it's never happened.
We erase it from the internet. Do you guys remember when Brett blew $200 on fucking plus 12 million long shot lottery tickets in sport? Yep. Good times. Hey Brett, did you lose that entire SGP victory from week 3 and by week 10? Yes, I did, and I'm proud.
No, and see that's why I can lose. I allocate $250 a week to SGPs. So if I lose every SGP for the rest of the whole season, I'm still going to be plus money from that bet.
That's why it's good to hit something like that early, because then you can get really degenerate and lose it all.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we get sharper each week and continue to find the right edge and the right value propositions so we can capitalize. So.
And again, from the totals from this week, it doesn't seem like, at least again, just from the totals perspective, that it's going to be a low scoring week. So
You
not
think-
good for SGPs. So
Yeah, I mean, again, from a blow off top SGP, yes, but again, I still think there's value in the unders stacks at times. I mean, I hit 2 this
That could be.
season, so like plus 1200.
alrighty,
Not terrible.
12:30. We're 12 hours away from kickoff, approximately. Let's get it done.
Let's do it.
Let's hit some.
Let's hit some Z's and then
Yep.
Then we bet
And then some
W's. Some Z's and then some W's.
I like it. Alrighty.
All right.
Thanks everyone for joining. 3 hours in. Last closing bell.